game number 1 on Bypass. In the first round of Hidden Cup 5, we have King Steven in the blue playing as the Vietnamese against Selim the Grim playing as the Spanish. Dave, break it down for us.
Well, Spanish, I mean, you can see the potential on this map, right? You can usually get to Castle Age fairly safely and reliably. And then there's that one corridor through the middle where you can push with maybe conquistadors or monks or a castle or something like that. So understand the pick from Selim. Vietnamese can also be strong here, but I think you're going to have to be the defensive player against the Spanish, and you're going to have to try and hit that imp timing before they do.
Yeah, I agree. I also think Spanish can speak to the type of player we have. They're a great civilization on closed maps, but not all players feel comfortable going for them. And I think more specifically, the gunpowder aspect. Yesterday was a great example, or the other day was a great example. We didn't have the castle drop Janissary play. We actually had a fast imp, which was so much more epic and rare, but still, very curious to see how Selim plays this. Some players may just play scouts here to contest the outsides of the map anyways. But my thinking is, if you picked Spanish, you've got to go for conquistadors. That unit is just simply too strong to ignore. And then I wonder, what creative things can you do as the Vietnamese to try and stop that? What do you think about a stonewall through the middle here? Is that too crazy?
Stonewall through the middle is doable, but I mean, if you're up against conks and a castle anyway, that stonewall is not going to last very long, right? It's going to buy you like 20, 30 seconds, probably.
Yeah.
Because they'll have a petard and they'll have conks, or they'll have a castle shooting it down if they get a good position on it. Can you actually... How much area in that center can you actually build on? Because I know there's that beach terrain or whatever.
Yeah, it's a good point. So the sand, I guess it's all sand, but the how do I describe this? The area with the bodies, Dave, the little blob of discolored sand, that area cannot be built on, which means a castle would have to be more defensive. So I think, in theory, to your point about the stone walls, you could probably wall right in front of or right behind your own palisades. And then that will at least force the Spanish player to have to make a petard or two to break through, which adds a bit more resistance.
Okay, but you can't squeeze the castle into that middle section, right?
Yeah, exactly. You would have to go, like, what you could do is you could go towers. In theory, you could tower rush the front. But yeah, the castle's not a possibility there. So that might be why we're not seeing as many castle drops. I'm pretty sure, actually, if there wasn't that terrain change, that every single game would be a castle drop, because a castle on someone's walls is just simply too hard to stop.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Also, I've noticed that King Steven has been holding the gate open with the goat, which is like, a little thing to notice, but we're in Hidden Cup, so we got to really examine everything. And he just left it there the entire time, has been pushing in the zebra, and Selim didn't care. He just deleted the wall. Now, I think that Doubt would be more of the player to keep the goat there and never move it.
Okay.
And push those in. And then the player who deleted the wall and then goes for the house later is going to be someone that has a little bit higher APM and more trust in themselves to go back there and re-wall it.
People are so all in on Doubt already. I blame you, Dave. You put Doubt in their mind from the draft conversation.
Stay humble. Stay humble, chat. You have to stay humble, okay?
I love it, though. I love it. This is what Hidden Cup's about, right? And what I've found has been the problem for me, right? I spend the whole day casting. I then have my opinions. And then I'm running the rerun and just kind of keeping my eye on things there. And I will feel so certain about players. And then I watch the rerun and I'm disagreeing with myself. It's horrible. So I can't imagine what it's like for a viewer. I don't know if the viewers are rewatching things. I don't know if they just form their opinion and then it stays the same all the time. But for me, man, I think if I think about it too much, if I really try and get too crazy with my predictions and my guesses, I veer all over the place.
But that's part of the fun, right? And we've been through this before. Me and you have been through this 4 times already. So we already know we're going to be wrong on probably 60 to 70% of our guesses, right? And we just have to remember that. And it's just all part of the fun to try and see who is who, to play the mental gymnastics, to switch up your guesses. I will say that Vietnamese, this might be the absolute worst map to take advantage of their civilization bonus of seeing the opponent's team down center. It's like, oh, really? You're over there? Well,
Yeah, it's like you.
I
Yeah,
never
it's already
knew.
guaranteed at this point. Yeah, I guess that also speaks to the Vietnamese, right? Because the majority of the time we see the Vietnamese these days, you're not seeing that bonus even be utilized. It's the other bonuses like the high HP on their archers, the good economy, the good late game. But man, I'm very curious on what King Stephen is going to do here. Obviously, it's a fast castle, which is what most players do on this map. But with only palisade walls through the middle, and with the Spanish player being on stone, I really need to know like what's the play here. Also, fun little builds here from Selim. Now, most players, all players should know this, but you could argue this is more for players who are more experienced on Arena. So Selim collected 10 gold from that 1 gold tile and is going to sell something. Usually it's just a little bit of your stone or maybe a little bit of excess wood to get 91 gold in return for that sale, thus taking it to 200 gold, which is what you need to go Castle Age. Typically, it's selling the stone, though, because I think you only get 91 stone for the first sell, or 91 gold for the first sell if you're selling stone. If you sell wood,
Yeah,
it's like in the 70s or something.
It's 70, yeah. So if you're gonna go with that approach, chat, just remember, if you're like, oh man, that's such a great idea, I'm gonna do that from now on, you have to be up sooner than your opponent, because if they sell stone, your entire strategy falls apart.
Okay, and more
gold.
More consistent, more specifically here, because I know why you are saying this. Don't try this in a 4v4 arena game, okay? Because then there's 7 other people that could have the same idea. And I have played enough team games with Dave to know that in team games, one time we both didn't communicate we were going to do this. And I forget who got it first, but the other one was like, did you sell? And I was like, yeah. I was like, of course I did. It's like, no. And then they had to go over and get gold. And yeah, it becomes this whole thing. So I guess the greater lesson here is actually communicate with your teammates, which we struggle with. But yeah, little fun fact for you there. I'm still not seeing a stone wall. And we know Selim's going to drop a castle. King Stephen's got to be worried about that. No, he can't be worried about it. He can't see it, but surely you have to expect it.
He has to know. It's Spanish, man. Like, Spanish is one of those civilizations where you know what they're going to do, and you just have to come up with a plan to stop it. And your opponent that's playing the Spanish knows that you know, but you also know that they know that you know. So it's like this, it's just this back and forth, right? And the only thing they don't know, along with us, is the player identities right now. So they don't know how aggressive this castle each time is going to be, or how aggressive this castle is going to be. However, on this map, with the scout in the middle, the castle is going to have to go at home. And then you make the conks, and then you try and bust through. It's just interesting to me that Stephen has gone for the house wall so far back. So he's almost giving up that territory already.
Yep. It seems like King Stephen is going to drop a town center on the opening to the side of the house wall, and is keeping a close eye on things to see if a castle is going to go up there. Now, we'll get that information. We'll see the castle foundation. It would be interesting to see if these players stay in this fight. There's lots of reasons to back away, and Selim the Grim does not back away. So King Stephen has a scout for the outer area of the map and immediately reacts by dropping some stone walls in front.
Dude, losing that scout, or rather not killing the scout from blue, is actually kind of frustrating because there are relics on the outside. And now you can't just safely go out and take those relics if you're Selim, right? And you're looking for some extra resources coming in. So that's a really great win there from Stephen. It's a little thing, but it might end up mattering. And there's the stone walls you were talking about. Second town center as well. The eco is looking good for our Vietnamese player. And it's all going to be about timings, whether they can withstand the push in the Castle Age, and then whether they can get up to Imperial Age sooner, because it feels like Selim's going to get through these walls, get a castle up there somewhere, and then Stephen will have a castle of his own and try and tread that back.
Yeah, very likely. Here comes the first conquistador. Now, of course, Selim didn't have a scout, so Selim couldn't see ahead of time that these stone walls were going down. And I really like this from King Stephen. Not just the initial layer, but the fact that King Stephen didn't just want to stonewall blindly here. King Stephen scouted it, then walled, and has even gone for a double layer. Normally here what you're going to want is a petard, but it is 2 petards per stonewall piece. So we might need to see somewhere in the department of 3 petards, and that is not something you want to do when you want to spend food and gold on your conquistador. So it's a tricky decision right now for Selim. But Selim, back to my point earlier, Dave, it just seems like the type of player to know what to do in these situations. And I'm sure he'll figure something out soon.
I mean, you want that follow-up castle, too, if you're Selim, right? At some point, you want a castle closer, because the one back in your base isn't going to give you much value against these town centers, and especially once the towers are up here from Steven. I was wondering why he went onto stone so early. I thought it might be a defensive castle, but it's actually the towers. Now the conks will shift. They can't get through the main area. They're going to shift around to the edges, and Steven is going to need a counter to those coming towards his back wall. Now, what's the timer here on Steven, knowing that those conquistadors are leaving? He's figured it out already, it looks like. He's going to go for some houses at the back, and he's going to start up a wall there because he hasn't seen the conks in a very long time.
This King Steven player is incredibly smart. But again, wants to be informed before making decisions, which I keep coming back to. The fact that the wall came up after the intel. Now you have the houses coming. And of course, this is King Steven recognizing the conks aren't attacking my walls anymore. They must be coming the other direction. And honestly, normally conquistadors have some type of payoff already. It hasn't happened yet. And I'm beginning to worry for Selim the Grim here that these conquistadors might not be able to accomplish much. But then again, it is conquistador. If there's a hole in a wall, if they get into your eco at any point against no army, it could win the entire game for you.
I know a couple players that Steven isn't already, because that scout has been idle for like a long time, 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm Garrett. I'm 100% on this not being Hera already, because he would never just keep that scout there. But we'll see. The conks are in here. The gate is up just on time, but that gate will not last very long against those conquistadors.
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 players that come to mind that are really lazy with that. Well, there's one player that comes to mind who's really lazy with the leftover scout, and that would be Doubt, who we already talked about before. I didn't feel like we had a crazy Doubt sighting yet in Hidden Cup. I thought maybe Pachacuti with the whole Sicilians play on evacuation, but tower drops here from King Steven. The conquistadors are way too close to these towers. It's a Doubt tower ×2. And we now have another tower here from King Steven, so the conquistadors have found some reward, and I don't even think that tower's good. I think that one could also be denied here, so dicey times here for King Steven, and these conks are wrecking him, and Dave, oh no! He knew it was coming, but he didn't have enough yet.
Well, I mean, he still has 63 villagers against 46, right? And now the towers are going to go up, hasn't lost a vill yet, and the university was presumably for guard tower, or maybe he wanted to click up, but it feels like he's going to have a castle in time, so he won't need that university as one of his buildings. I think that was for guard tower and maybe for ballistics as well.
Man, I am getting, again, very early here, people. Okay, stay humble, but I'm getting a Doubt versus Yo vibe from this series right now. Like Yo with the gunpowder, expanding the eco behind, happy to play with lots of unique units. King Steven playing more of the eco approach into some guard towers of defense. Could be anybody. So we see ballistics now. That's an interesting choice. Typically, you're going to see guard tower first, but maybe it's a why not both situation for King Steven.
I think he might not have had the food at the time, but he had the wood and the gold, right? So it's like kind of pick your choice. Which one's it going to be? Man, if this is a forward siege workshop here from Selim, it's definitely Yo. It's Yo versus Stout. We already confirmed it. 100%. If it's a siege workshop. Confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense for it to be a siege workshop. If you were to see guard tower, though, you might not want to siege push. So, fun fact, by the way, I have compiled a lot of stats for the players. And I don't know if we'll have a video made for it in time, but we have an auto scout stat for that leftover weak scout that players could use auto scout like all the noobs do. And Yo is actually the most auto scout player out of everyone in Hidden Cup, which surprised me. Viper was number 2, which did not surprise me. But that starting scout for King Steven is just standing there. Has not used it to scout manually or automatically.
Can you get off the siege workshop, please? I'm trying to do my... That thing's never going to move. I'm trying to do my job. Thank you.
Look at this imp time here from King Stephen. Castle's going to go up. He's built a castle in the perfect position to be able to treb down his opponent. Still doesn't have an answer to conquistadors. It doesn't have an answer to the siege push, but it does feel like he can get at least one treb. And Dave, if he gets one treb in the middle, there's nothing Selim can really do about that here.
Guard tower is coming in right now. The university is very, very low. And if he loses that university, no chemistry for bombard cannons, right? He does have a castle now, like you said, and Imperial Age is on the way. So could go for trebs, but still, that could slow down Stephen a little bit. The eco behind from Selim, the expansion has actually been pretty good. And the scout moves just in time to find the TC. Are you kidding me?
So he patrolled it
and
on
there's
a
no loom
stance there. Those are villagers with no loom. And Selim the Grim, if he notices, can kill the scout, but he's distracted right now. And that scout did move at the perfect time, and good fortune for King Stephen. It looks like the TC is going to be denied. Will King Stephen notice? Wow, dude. The scout's like, that's why I stood there. I was just building up my power. Unbelievable find.
So Imperial Age and the trebs pushing forward are a threat to Selim. But Stephen still kind of has all this stuff in the back, right? So
yeah.
It's a risk when you try and push forward here, even with the guard towers. It's a big risk to try and send your army forward when you've got, what, 12 conks and a siege workshop in the back of your base. Big, big risk, because you could look back suddenly, all of your towers are gone, and a lot of your villagers are dying. And then Selim is expanding his eco on the other side, as Selim is now on the way to Imperial Age. Bracer coming in, second castle. Rat and Archer should be able to deal with the conquistadors. And we'll need to go for another market, because the university and the market were already taken out.
What a sick job here from King Stephen to defend from this. But I'm also really impressed with Selim. Selim is on the way to the Imperial Age. Selim has quite a few TCs. Selim is a forward position. Selim's going to make it difficult for King Stephen to expand to the sides. But I'm worried for Selim the Grim's castle. That will likely be trebbed down. And I don't know if Selim's going to be able to stop that. And still no TC on the outside for Selim either because of that freaking scout.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, King Stephen thought he was safe, and Selim is going to turn around before he finds that town center. Oh, no, dude. That's good timing there from Stephen to get that up, but still lucky that Selim didn't go investigate a little bit more near that gold.
If you're Selim, you're still pushing with Ram. So, and you were afraid to kill the Rams, so he didn't want to leave the position. The Lycav will see the TC, though, so he knows about that. The Rams again. It's a Ram batter down the Rams. Messy. Just now for King Stephen.
Well, we don't know what's going on with T90, but hopefully you can hear me, as Selim still trying to get some damage done with the conquistadors and the villagers building that town center finally. The castle in the center is being trebbed down, but we've got a skirmisher switch here from Selim. 90 villagers with Bracer on the way, chemistry also on the way. It's only 15 Ratans for King Stephen, but the eco is looking really, really solid. Now, if we're thinking about Civ matchups late game, I actually think Spanish might be better if they're fully boomed, but we have to take the eco discrepancy into account here as the Ratans just push right under the castle. Oh my goodness, there's no potential to repair this castle yet. The villagers are quarantined inside, and it's a Cavalier skirmisher army composition that Selim is trying to go for as he solidifies his position over on that left side of the map. Another university coming up from Stephen. Remember, the first one was taken out. And that's probably for chemistry himself. And the conquistadors, I mean, the control just isn't there at the moment because of all the distractions on the front side. So he's not able to deny that university, not able to kill the villagers. And now Stephen going into a cavalry switch of his own. So potentially light cav coming out from our Vietnamese player as chemistry now comes in from that university.
I don't know if it's working, but I'm
the
here.
ecos. Oh,
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Are we
You're
good?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
you're
really
back.
weren't-
Yeah, you're back.
You were cooking, dude. You were cooking. Yeah, we're good. What a game here. Selim the Grim's got a castle on the left side, and he still has skirms in defense. But the worry here is, can you get enough skirmishers to deal with Ratans? Because Ratan archers are actually a really good archer against skirmishers. And King Steven's doing a great job to pressure the middle, Dave. He just needs to make sure that the outside of his base does not get compromised by those conquistadors.
I mean, the Treb is taking out the town center. Chemistry is going to come in. The conquistadors are still there. And the Cavalier switch that he wanted to make, there's no Cavalier on the field yet. It's just skirms. And like you said, skirms are a soft counter to Ratans. They're not really the unit that's going to win the fight against them. The only advantage is that you can produce them out of archer ranges. You don't need a ton of castles to get them rolling. But right now, Steven is rolling forward, and Steven is even mixing in those light cav, which is going to make life very difficult for those skirmishers.
And Selim's going to abandon his starting base. He wanted to push King Steven's base, was never able to do so. Now abandons his base. Now, the funny thing is, there is not a lot of gold accessible right now for King Steven. He has a little bit of gold left in his base, but the other area of gold is currently being trapped. So there is actually a chance here for Selim to hold if he can control the sides and prevent King Steven from getting a lot more gold.
I think the issue here for Selim is that he just lost like 20 of his farms, right? So that's a lot of food investment to get that, wood investment to get that food eco rolling again. And all the units he wants to make are costing food. So Cavalier, hand cannon, elite skirm, even the upgrades for the cavalry coming in. He's really going to need to expand that food eco. There are some sources over here that are free, but I mean, it's going to be very difficult, especially with Steven knocking at the door. 52 military, by the way.
Yeah, and it feels like Steven can actually only spend food. Sure, the gold income's not great, but simply just light cav could possibly break Selim the Grim right here. And we're seeing that now. The Rats and Archers will also see a castle, and the Trebs will be happy to see that. And King Steven, 200 population. A lot of that is, of course, jam-packed in that one single area. But this is solid pop from him. And if he could just push a little bit further here, Selim the Grim will probably be broken. The outer food sources are great, but it's not as good as farming eco. That gets found. King Steven finds the stone miners. And this is looking worse and worse for my boy Selim right now.
Yeah, Steven just waited, didn't he? He just waited and waited and waited, found his opportunity, got to Imperial Age faster, started pushing, and now with an army count of 57 against 26, and 10 of those are these conks, which have just been kind of locked down in this area the entire time. They're finally finding value, but it's not the early game value that you usually want to find with Conquistadors as he tries to go for a town center. You're not building that. And Selim notices right away. That's impressive. He is building it.
So,
wait, what? Huh?
Okay, TC's gonna... Oh, it's just gonna be a castle. Okay, that's smart from King Steven. All right, Dave, so maybe too early to speculate, but things are not looking good for Selim. Obviously, could be the most important moment of this person's career, right? But there are two players who are known to love unique units and who are known to not resign when they are dead. We have the GG call. Went down to 90 population, but it does make people speculate a little bit on who these players may be. What a performance from King Steven. Selim the Grim probably couldn't believe that he died so easily to that push, because King Steven got 57 Rats and Archers, 55 light cap, and those 4 trebuchets that he made initially just took down the entire base. That was very well executed. Ooh, Mudflow is what Selim wants. So after dropping a castle and going Conquistadors in game 1, he now wants an open, messy map. Fascinating stuff. And Selim's gone for the Portuguese, and King Steven, Dave's gone for the Armenians.
Armenians can be a very, very strong pick here, especially with the mule carts, right? The wood lines are very far away, and you want as much diversity in those wood lines as you can, because one demo could ruin your day, right? But we'll see if Stevens tries to go for the infantry approach with the Armenians, and that'll give us a clue, if he does, that it might be someone like Doubt. which we suspected going into that first game and after the performance in the first game. Doubt is really in love with the mule cart civs and really, really likes the infantry openings here with the Armenians.
Yeah, it's a fair point. We did have another player in the qualifier, didn't end up making it. I think it was Baba Rum with the Armenians try and go feudal age longswords. I know Doubt tried that in another tournament. Now, I think the most difficult resource to really hold access to long term here would be the wood. And that is due to the fact that in the middle, there's amphibious terrain. So ships can also go through there. And we've seen lots of demos against villagers and against scouts. But you normally need the bigger chunks of wood if you're a normal civilization. But if you're the Armenians, you don't actually have to take that risk at all with the mule carts. And you could also use the mule carts to maybe bring in some other things. Like if there's a gold next to a little chunk of wood, you could maybe take gold and wood at the same time. There's flexibility. And I feel like the last time we covered a game together with mule carts, I think it was the Georgians from Mihai. And the player didn't take any risks. It was just like full wall, stayed through with all this little backwood area, gold area, and played it very differently than most Mudflow games. So I could definitely see King Steven, with how safe he played in game number 1, wanting to do something similar. And never mind, he's going to the big wood anyways.
I love when people prove you wrong instantly. It's just one of my little joys in life, you know?
Thanks for that. You don't do that very frequently, but... Portuguese also do get some wood from the berries. So Selim can work with that. And I guess that is helpful. It's not something you really base your builds around too frequently. But having said that, he didn't place a lumber camp. He's on the berries and he's shopping the straggler trees. So this is a calculated build from him. And this is the first time we've ever seen this, actually. I don't remember a single qualifier game where players tried the early berries with the Portuguese.
I mean, the one thing about this map that's so difficult, now you're talking about the wood lines being far away and whatnot, but is that transition period when the food runs out underneath your town center. You have so much at the beginning. You have the rhinos or elephants, then you have the fish, then you have some water buffalo. It seems like a lot, but once you've clicked up to feudal age, there's a point where you run out of that food and suddenly you're very exposed going out for those berries. So taking the berries early is probably a really, really good thing before your opponent can punish it with military. And then you can start getting into the farms a little bit earlier, right? And you're not as exposed. You can start walling up. You just have a lot more of a comfort level on Mudflow because these games can get crazy. And the more secure your food eco is earlier, the better.
I think the trend with that I'm noticing here is if you try and go for lots of scouts and then your opponent does the same, so you then need all the spears, you're just spending resources so quickly, and then it catches up with you. So I've noticed that some players, and we saw it from Otto yesterday, they're actually starting to not make scouts all that much initially, make sure they have enough spears to protect where they need to expand with their eco, and once they're at like 6 to 8 spears, then they're starting to add scouts. But I said scouts, hold on. We've got Dark Age Spearmen right now from the Armenians. That's something that only the Armenians could do. And I also saw villagers headed over towards golds here for King Steven. So King Steven, maybe with a prepped build order here, try something different. Gold. I wonder, could you go spears and ships, Dave? Like maybe galleys with the Armenians here?
I mean, I think galleys is an underutilized unit on this map, right? Because if you get 5 or 6 galleys, it's basically an unstoppable army until your opponent adds in ships of their own on the middle. You would have to, however, if you're going for that approach, you would either have to be against a player who's playing really defensively, or you'd have to figure out a way to lock down your own base. Because the risk with that is that you don't have that much land military to defend yourself at home, especially if they go into archers. And there's the range right there from Selim. As Selim, walls to that town center, it's still going to be an issue for him because eventually he'll have to leave with those villagers around the town center. But for now, it's pretty safe. And there's the dock from Steven. Does he open galleys or does he go into demolition rafts?
Wow, we thought this was a scout rush map, right? Because we've got an archer range now from Selim. A great job from Selim. That could have been a problem. The spearmen and the scouts almost got through. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that at this point these players are expecting, but certainly hasn't been meta to see that. And to your point, Dave, it's going to be fires. I think this comes back to the issue with the whole fire v galley conversation. It's just that galleys need to be masked and microed a lot more efficiently, and the fire is more effective in low numbers.
I don't know. With his scouting, I mean, you can see that the wall is up. You can see you're not going to get much value with a demo. It feels like galley would be the better choice here. But I mean, fire might just be an opening, a precursor to something as he's going around and scouting the other side. And now he's going to discover the blacksmith and presumably the range right there. So he knows what's going on. Great scouting from Steven already.
Dude, I mean, both of them, right? Selim also saw the dock and the walls. Like, that just gave me some chills to see the scouting like that.
My goodness. Look at that gold.
He's
taking the one all the way at the back.
That's smart, too. Yeah, taking it in the back. I mean, it's smart until archers show up because you're so far away from your base. You're not going to be able to get home, but we'll see if that eventually gets found. And I'm worried for King Steven right now on land where the ships cannot help him, right? So he's going to make some skirms, it looks like, at home. And a demo is going to be waiting. Wow.
And there's the dock from Selim. And the dock won't be able to be seen by that scout. So great positioning there. We'll go for a gate behind. The fire starts working away on the wall, but the archers are still looping around to the right side. Now, fletching is in, but I think it was only, 2 archers, a skirm and a scout? This could be dangerous if that demo is forward. And there's the galley now. So demo, fire, galley. Skirm, spear, scout. It's a lot of units on the field right now from Steven.
Yeah, it's a lot of units, and this is not something we have seen throughout the qualifier and even the main event so far. I wonder if Selim will think of the fact that if his opponent has a dock, he needs to be careful here, and he sees the demo. And King Steven maybe could have been a bit stealthier with that, but the demo can't help him now. I think he's got enough, though. I think he's got skirms, so that should help. I agree with you, though. The fire didn't really help him that much. Just a weird game to really break down right now. Because, again, this is now hitting that point where they're out of food underneath the TC. They need to transition into farms, and it's just not easy to get the timings right.
Okay, galley running into the fire galley, and that's the issue we were talking about earlier, where they're kind of countered until you get a lot of them, even with that extra projectile that the Armenians fire from their galley, and he's going to be able to clear that up, maybe, unless Selim can repair. He does, but the demo might be on the way. No, galley's on the way.
Yeah, demo is probably going to stay at home for now. Nice repairs here from Selim. The extra HP on the Portuguese ship's really helping there. And Selim has done a great job, but he still hasn't killed much. He just killed 1 unit in this game. It's crazy, the diversity of this game. We've had the spearman opening and the dock opening into the range, and now we have a dock follow-up. Big demo coming in, though. The demo is going to connect. The demo will hit both ships. Not as good as you would have liked, but still it's something. And the skirms are going to find this army as well. So, yeah, it doesn't really feel like... Selim's certainly going to try his hardest here. It doesn't feel like once this scout goes down that this attack for Selim's going to accomplish too much.
Yeah, even without the armor. Can't really fight that. He's gotten some great value with the scout, but I mean, the scout is on 1 HP right now, so he's going to need to leave. There is another scout following up, though, and apparently, he's found some additional food eco. I don't know if Selim has dropped farms yet, or if he's just full on the berries right now. But scout production here is impressive from him.
His follow-up from Selim is incredible, and that market just screams doubt to me right now.
Doubt, yeah.
It just screams doubt to me. Gets surprised by an enemy transition and immediately goes into the market. Oh, man. That tower is needed here for King Steven. He could lose villagers. The tower will likely go up. They're defending on water and land right now. It feels like the defense will happen here for King Steven. He'll push the fire galleys away. This is now where a demo could be so useful for both players.
Well, look at the resources, even with the market from King Steven. Look at the res from Selim. He's done a really good job expanding the food eco, and those early walls kind of gave him that security, right? And then King Steven needed to deal with the counterattack, so the farms could be added. The market's now being added from Selim, and Selim might be the first player to click up to Castle Age.
Yeah, really nice transitions here. And it's interesting because game number 1 was more of a closed map. Obviously, that was a neutral map. Selim the Grim played well, did end up losing that. Clearly, this is where his comfort zone is. I think we're going to see a whole bunch of Navy in Castle Age. If they're making this much Navy now, I think we'll see the War Galley upgrade. Maybe even like ballistics on War Galleys themselves. Yeah, caravels with Portuguese? Ooh.
Caravel against Galley. A Caravel against Armenian War Galley. Imagine that. That'd be sick. The Caravels should be really good here.
I think we probably won't see caravels for the same reasons I mentioned before. They can't invest into that many ships. But I see a second dock now. I think fast fire, or not fast fire, but just the upgraded fires in Castle Age would make sense. And maybe a random knight or two from both players. King Stephen still hasn't clicked up yet, despite having that market earlier. Will finally do so. And Selim the Grim up faster, has more ships at the moment. Will have a demo, still has the archers and the scouts, and Selim is looking good right now.
So once Stephen gets to Castle Age, he can go for fortified churches to secure a lot of this open eco back here, which could be really, really nice. And he'll go for at least one to get that relic. But I mean, for now, the scouts and the archers, he still has to be concerned about them as he goes for another dock. And the fires are already here from Selim. And there's the demo coming in from Selim. How fast will Stephen realize? No, I can't find that
does end up noticing. Yeah, it's not like the demo itself didn't do that much, but the fight was still amazing there for Selim because of the Portuguese HP. And he also has a lot more ship production right now because he's had that second dock for a while. Here comes the demo from King Stephen. He does land a hit, but War Galley upgrade might come in. Food is still kind of hard to come by right now, I'm noticing, for both players. And the demo went directly into the dock. So that is not Tato in the red.
No. Not at all. All right, War Galley research coming in. Another demo in the queue. And there's a monastery there for Selim. And I saw a couple knights added in too. So just a high variance of units so far. I think we've seen, you know, scouts, skirms, archers, spears, galleys, fires, demos, almost everything available so far. And now knights added to this as the fires work away. And the quick walls come down from Stephen. Good job.
Yeah, Stephen wasn't expecting the knight. Remember, he was like, okay, this is a Navy battle now. And he's definitely not going to be expecting what is coming on the water. And that is a caravel or two, Dave. They're going to be right behind this wood line. And Selim the Grim seems so comfortable playing in towards water. And he's made it so difficult for King Stephen to take wood here. I mean, if a demo can get through... Oh, the demo gets through and the demo lands! And villagers get massacred. King Stephen is up against it right now.
That was 4 villagers. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't more because what a wonderful demo that was. And the knights are in. Oh, no, there was a hole there. It didn't look like there was one. And now Stephen has to manage not only the villagers, but also the mule carts blocking the... Get out of the way!
And that right there, I mean, this is enough damage to be happy with, to take this to the later stages of the game. I don't know if you think that way if you're playing Mudflow, but beautiful stuff from Selim. Selim now has a nice eco lead. Of course, has all the momentum here. Did end up losing a knight to a conversion there, but I'm really impressed with how aggressive Selim has been, the variety of units he's brought forward. He even brought a villager to repair those ships right next to all of this. There's not many players that do that.
God, Selim is teasing us with these caravels, isn't he? Keeps queuing them up and then unqueuing them again.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Here's the demo again. I agree with you, though. It's one of those things you don't expect to be able to hit with the demo. I think if he had a little bit more patience there, he could have killed like 8 if he just went a bit further in.
Man, this Selim gameplay really, really reminds me of Yo. Just like the random units attacking everywhere, right? The variance in units and just kind of not focusing on a single area, pushing in 3 different spots, making things crazy, and still having a solid economy behind.
Yeah, and then you've got King Stephen on the other side. who defended so nicely in the first game. Obviously, some bad things have happened to here, but he is continuing to play quite well. He's got more ships now than his opponent. He's gotten some conversions here or there to help with that, and I'm sure that will continue on both sides. King Steven is behind right now, Dave. He's going to try and find an avenue to come back. And that idea right now is actually a fortified church drop in the middle of the map. You can garrison in that with villagers and shoot arrows. I actually really like that idea on this map.
Okay. Who would say Sec 14?
Everybody.
God. Oh no, the monks! Don't lose the monks! No, dude!
And who would lose monks on the shoreline immediately after the pause? I don't know, dude. Like, Selim has just enough bright moments to get excited, but on occasion, some things are going south. I've also noticed that both players just having some food issues right now. Back to our point earlier, you need more food eco. There's currently 3 fires for Selim, and there's 10 fires for King Steven. And, dude, fires, as you know, will take out town centers very quickly, which would leave the villagers exposed here for Selim. And it feels like King Steven's coming back. I see monks going down. There's navy everywhere. What is happening?
Yeah, if you control this water area, you force your opponent into the outside wood lines, which just don't have a lot of wood available on them. And great investment onto the navy here by King Steven. There's a bit of a choke point there, so he's going to have to be careful with demos potentially coming out of that dock, but it's a good comeback here. And like you said, Selim kind of struggling with that food eco, just like Steven is. Trying to keep those town centers producing, not really able to go for any land army at the same time.
You know, the thing I think that actually hurt Selim was the caravels. Like, I haven't seen the caravels take any good engagements. They're dead now or gone now. Maybe he queued them up and canceled them.
No, he never made any. Yeah,
he never made them. Yeah,
so
I think, like, he needed a plan here. And I think the plan was great initially, just to continue with ships, but he definitely didn't keep the production up. And there's more fire ships on this map than maybe we saw on the whole qualifier. There's navy after navy after naval unit here, and it's so messy. It's really hard for us to break this down, right? So many different things happening. That demo lands. Still, though, idols everywhere for Selim. And then you've got random knights running into your eco as well. This is not the Mudflow game that many people who came to watch today were expecting.
Where's this castle go from Selim? Surely you can't make it in the center. Surely not. There's just too much navy.
I think on the shoreline, in a position that gives you less of a headache with that TC would make sense. The Selim is still a nice villager lead. That knight's been microing around and killed 4 vills. It does seem like Selim is waiting. Like, he thinks he's going to take a good fight, and then he can place a castle in a more definitive spot. I would just be building that castle immediately. He's also making war galleys instead of fires, which I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to know what's right because we haven't seen this situation before, but there's no way, Selim.
God. Oh, hold me, chat.
Dude,
this is going to be risky.
if he tries to build this, doubt confirmed, right? No one would build this castle. Doubt or yo, maybe. This is crazy. Oh my God. Well, here we go. Castle's on the way. We've got 3 monks and 2 war galleys against a bunch of monks and some fires and everything else. From our perspective, this seems quite risky.
There are monks, and the houses on each side were genius, and if he converts the fires, he could switch these naval numbers around really, really quick. And look at this. The fight is suddenly going in favor of Selim, and Selim's going to have the castle there, which will protect the wood lines. Also able to take out that fortified church. A great turnaround here for Selim. And now we look at the economies. He's still very far ahead, Tristan. Like, this is a really good position now for Selim because he's got that castle to retreat back to.
Never a doubt. Never a doubt.
Yep.
I knew the castle was going to go up, and so did everybody. Nobody thought that castle would be risky. Everyone thought that castle was the perfect castle to place in this situation. And Selim the Grim is going to continue to spam in navy here. It feels like the fortified churches are going to be taken out. With the additional eco, Dave, with the extra HP on the Portuguese ships, it feels like you could just continue to do this. The wood is not far away, and King Steven is just hoping that these Armenian galleys are doing something special for him here. They do fire the extra bolt, but he's still missing Vodkanero right now.
God, the food eco is still so grim for Selim. Like 7 on food right now is barely enough to keep those town centers running. It's not in the long term, but right now he's still got a couple villagers queued. He does have enough stone for another castle, but you need to get that stuff sorted ASAP. Because long term, this is going to be a huge problem, and it's almost allowing Steven to catch up in villagers.
He wants to drop another castle right now. Maybe it wasn't part of his plan. Maybe it's just the eco balance issue, because the whole 38 on wood and 8 on food is part of the problem. But I mean, I think we're going to see another castle close to these docks maybe here. The villagers are chopping wood. It would make sense, unless you want to place a more defensive castle on a gold or something, that he might do this. I actually wouldn't mind, Dave, for him to walk up onto the grass next to the TC of King Stephen and drop the castle there. Don't even drop it on the water.
Okay, I mean, Steven definitely isn't Tato. The Tato is not in this set, because Tato would have a dock at least with a demo in it, just in case the castle drop was coming. And the way he threw that demo in to those war galleys, oof.
Yeah, there's been a couple. You can tell the players understand the need for demos, but not necessarily how to use them, which Tato's the best at doing. Still waiting. It's a very scrappy game at the moment. Remember, King Stephen is taking wood and stone in this area. King Stephen also has enough stone to maybe drop a castle. But the ship count for Selim and having... Well, I guess they both have Vodkanero now, but still, just the monks and the ship count he has seems really tough for King Stephen to engage against.
Is this where you start adding in the caravels now? If you want to go full water investment, you have enough war galleys to deal with the fires, which are the natural counter to caravels, and your opponent is going into war galleys. Maybe you want to add that in, but I guess your war galleys are working right now, so keep doing that thing as he pushes forward. And now Selim wants a castle on that right side. He's got a demo over there, and Steven is looping villagers around too. Okay.
The demo goes underneath the gate and doesn't hit anything. And we have a just passing moment, and Selim the Grim realizes exactly what these villagers are doing here and is going to drop his own castle. I think Selim should be able to complete this castle, but King Stephen, who's already behind, is thinking maybe I need to build my castle in this guy's base then. And so there he goes. And he's going to try and drop a castle there.
Alert.
What?
We have a doubt.
This is doubt.
We have a doubt. Day 3 hidden cup alert.
This is doubt. 100%. I mean, he's going to win the game. He's going to lose the game from this castle. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. This one doesn't feel like it's going up, but you never know.
And also no wall attempt on the Vills, right? Doubt confirmed. Doubt confirmed. GG, Selim the Grim ties it up and gets the win. Beautiful series so far. And 2 very unique players. We, of course, don't know exactly who these players are. We can only speculate. We find out who the players are at the conclusion of the tournament. But that last moment there with the castle definitely had some doubt vibes for me. Yeah. Oh, man. Great KD there for Selim and great control.
I don't think I've ever seen that amount of investment onto water on this map. Like, I've always thought about it. It seems like a good idea, but players usually mix it up and then go land, and then you can't go water because then you die on land. But both of those guys really hard invested into that, as we saw the demo. Could have got better value there, but still really solid. And then, of course, this castle, the houses on both sides were really nice, and the monks behind got the conversions they needed, and then swung this completely around. Ever since this moment, Steven was on the back foot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a great game. Great series. I mean, I think that what was the most impressive is that Selim possibly faced something there he'd never seen before. The initial spearman rush he was able to he defended from. Then he saw the dock opening and decided to do the same. So I really wonder if Selim was planning on going Navy like that, or if Selim just said, oh, this is the type of strategy you're going for? Great. I'm Portuguese. I also get more HP on my ships, and was happy to play in towards that. It is actually Hidden Forts for game number 3. But again, Hidden Forts is a map that's brand new here in Hidden Cup 5. And kind of my hope, my dream, was that players would practice this and they would come up with strategies that differed from each other. And Lithuanians was one of the strategies that you Pudding showed me in our practice games Going Lithuanians and going to chop the wood early, he said, was one of the best strategies possible for this map. That's what King Stephen's going to try. And again, Dave, it's like exactly what you would expect from King Stephen. We had game 2, fancy little strategy with the dock and the spearmen, and now we have this. I just love this so much from this player.
That's a very interesting lumber camp there from Steven. It's 1 tile away. Now, if your objective is to get through the wood as quickly as possible, that's probably the best lumber camp you can make so that the villagers aren't bumping. And you can fit 3 on that first one if you really want to. But long-term, obviously, that's not going to be the greatest. But you're not really making a lumber camp here for long-term wood supply, right? You can go somewhere else for that.
So I'm going to just say again, and it's half for the memes, but doubt confirmed because of that lumber camp. And I'm going to tell you why. So again, we did testing on this, right? And the idea, of course, is sound that you can chop through these trees. If you build a lumber camp, which is more efficient, which is against the wood, which is what every other player has done on this map, and you just shift queue them onto the trees, on occasion, one of the villagers will get stuck. And if the villager gets stuck for half a second, they will switch to another tree, which is annoying, but basically means you need to pay attention to it and micro it. And with all the jokes around Doubt not wanting to have to do extra work, I could definitely see Doubt being like, I don't have time to micro my wood line, so let's just build a lumber camp that gets the job done.
And look, they go right to that other tree, and they're immediately chopping it. Beautiful. So he's going to be through really quickly.
Dang, that's crazy. And then Bengalis for Selim. So Bengalis kind of a bit awkward at times because they don't get knights, but their economy is insane, and they do get extra villagers when they make it to the next stage. Bengali monks are also strong. Could see monks being an option. And apparently Bengalis throughout the qualifier and possibly beyond, I think we maybe had them once in the main event. This civilization has done very well here, but I wonder how the whole middle aspect plays out, because we have seen very different approaches, Dave. Sometimes people will take the rhinos, and other times people will do pretty much what Selim the Grim has done, and he's happy to place a lumber camp that will get him through eventually. But it doesn't look like Selim is basing his entire strategy around rushing to the middle right now.
Yeah, yesterday we had a very similar kind of style, and I think it was game number 1 on this map with Otto versus Jadwiga. And Otto, the thing that convinced me was MBL from game number 1 was the fact that he just kind of ignored the map. Like he just did his thing behind, didn't chop through the wood line. It was like, all right, you come at me. And it worked out really well for Otto there. But I think that Selim will play this more or less standard and not leave that wood line intact and try and get through. But like you said, Steven, with the prepared strategy, is going to be through first, and we'll see how many rhinos Steven brings in as the scout comes forward now to help out the villager and bringing these in.
Yeah, now we envisioned with all the changes we made that maybe people would get 2, right? Because we spread them out. I think we saw 6 from the middle come in from somebody yesterday. Like, these guys are going crazy for these rhinos, which is really fun to see, actually. And it does bring up a point. A lot of players weaken the rhinos with their TCs. Most players do this. And that there was done a little bit differently than the majority of players do. A lot of players set the rally point for the villagers on top of the rhino, and the villagers pop out and immediately shoot. That the villagers were sent outside of the TC and then manually shot, and that is how I remember Doubt doing it. But I don't want to dive too deep into the details here. Oh, man.
I think the important thing to remember with the boar luring or rhino luring or whatnot is that everyone basically knows the math. Most players know the math, and they'll adapt based on what villagers they initially select, right? So it's not always the same thing. If you drag select and you only get 4 instead of the 6 that you wanted, you'll just shoot it 3 times.
Okay,
4,
so this
right?
is where there's more stress.
Okay,
though.
can you
this
save
is where
this?
There's more stress.
Huh?
A lot of players with house trick.
Fine.
We have no house trick.
He's got loom.
This is so Doubt, dude. This is so Doubt.
No, don't lose that other villager on the left side. Just leaves it. Wow.
This to me, just everything about it feels like Doubt, and I love it. And that's the beautiful thing about the guy. We had some stats about him. He's maybe isn't as active as some other players. Maybe isn't as speedy or uses as many formations. Actually, you know what will be telling is if we see box formation on the scouts. If we don't see box formation on the scouts, it should be either Barles, Doubt, or MBL if the stats that I found mean anything.
Oh, Rhino, come on. He's right there. Come on, Rhino.
Your
right,
friends
now,
are over
make
here.
Sure
We're having a
don't
party.
Shoot it. You don't shoot it with the TC because you've already shot it a bunch. You can't do the 6+7 anymore. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, it's fine.
Good.
We have faith. We have faith here in King Steven. Yep. So let's look at what
By
King
the way,
Steven's
Selim
doing
is going
here.
for. Oh, okay, go ahead. Selim's going
Yeah,
FC,
no,
I think.
Yeah, it's like kind of fast castle for King Steven as well because he's using the rhinos for it. But yep, Selim walled up. Selim's also made a second lumber camp, and Selim also is not intentionally chopping through to the middle right now, which I think is because he expects King Steven to have some army. He's played extremely safe here. It will be fast castle. And then we'll see if he comes to the middle. Now, I did want to bring up something that I think you are really going to appreciate, Dave. And you also know the player. So El Matador, right? Like one of the fastest players. Mm-hmm. He needs to find a reason to be nerdy with some unit. With Lithuanians, El Matador was using the Lithuanian skirm to run around the middle, attack a rhino, and lure them all up. And I think it's actually good enough where it maybe, if you're going to make a range anyways, everyone should be doing it because you can have like 3 or 4 rhinos chasing one single skirm, and it's less risky than using your villagers. So I thought it was pretty funny.
I mean, you can do it with the spearmen too. You're gonna lose a little bit of HP. The skirm, the issue with the skirm, if you played like a bunch of hyper random or whatever, where you're trying to lure in those rhinos, is sometimes you take the first hit, and then the rhino gets within your minimum range, and you can't get the second hit. So you're like,
true.
You can't bring it in. It's you really have to have the timing correctly when you're attacking them.
So King Steven has a unit parked behind both wood lines now. He knows that Selim is not going to the outside. He sees the trees that are being chopped. You cannot wall your opponent out because of that rock terrain. So it gets interesting now, and I'm very curious on what Selim is going to try and do. It looks right now like Selim is building up spearmen, and he will cut through, and he will enter the middle in a moment here. People are talking about the formations here on the scouts. We're not seeing box formation, but also we don't really see all the scouts grouped. I think box formation as well, it's something you use when you're actually engaging with the units. That's another part of it. There's the scout from Selim checking things out in the middle, looping around and timing his cut. He is in the middle. Perfect timing here from Selim the Grim, and he's got spearmen, and he is definitely going to be dropping something in the middle here, whether it be a TC or monastery, I don't know. But the villagers are ready, Dave. And what a fun game we have. Resources collected is very even. King Steven will be in Castle Age soon. All his scouts are looping around to the middle right now.
Look at the resources collected, though. You just mentioned it. It's ahead for the guy who hasn't been taking rhinos.
Yeah.
So it gives you some perspective on it. And it was the same for Otto yesterday when he was just farming. And the other guy was taking rhinos all over the place. He was like 600 resources collected ahead. Oh. So they feel very good, and they get you an early boost. That nice quick walls there from Selim, as he'll get that town center up perfectly fine. But it gives you a little bit of perspective, right? That resources collected stat on what is actually better long term. Do you want a stable eco, or do you want that fast food income?
Yeah, I think having just the third rhino and then going into farms is very smooth. Now, Selim didn't have that. And Selim is built up here very greedily, immediately for the TCs, and doesn't actually have the farming eco to sustain this forever. Also, pikeman upgrade is coming in, and there's only one pike that's going to be on the field. King Steven, light cav upgrade, and second TC is going to be on the outside. Interesting stuff.
Still making sure not to chop through very consciously, right?
Yep.
Steven is fine opening this one up, and there's the town center. There's the monastery. So we'll be able to collect some relics, and with each town center you build with Lithuanians, you will get an additional 100 food. Floating a lot of food right now, Steven. Needs to find something to invest that into. Might be a heavy plow, like before any of the farms are created.
That would also be something very
Very dope.
Doubt-esque to
Yeah.
squeeze that in. But I do think with the way the eco's looking right now, and the fact he doesn't have Horse Collar, he probably is going to want to just add farms with Horse Collar. Going for heavy plow would maybe be too greedy. Farms looking good for Selim, Dave. And I just love the theme of the map, right? It's just like the auto game where the player who took the rhinos falls back, but goes for map control with army. And then the player who didn't take the rhinos actually pushes the middle in some capacity, which is what we've seen here from Selim.
Arms before no horse collar. After it was floating like 500 food there for a bit. Wow.
Yeah. Tricky to get that balance down. And it's just such a complex map. These guys, who, regardless of who they are, have played tens of thousands of games probably, and maybe only at most a few dozen on this map. So it's tough to get that balance down. It's similar to Fortified Clearing for those that know other tournament maps, but there's other elements to it which make it more difficult than that. But who would
Still
you say
making
is the
farms, no
advantage
horse
right now?
collar. I'd say Selim, definitely. Like, Selim has that town center in the middle. The light cav from Steven have found basically no value yet until maybe able to snipe this monk. Nope. No value whatsoever. And already pikeman in from Selim. So already has something to maybe deal with that. And he's going to spot the siege workshop potentially.
Yeah, he definitely
Don't
sees it.
think
Also,
so.
we had a
Nice quick
quick
wall.
wall over there on the mining camp. So something about the middle is there's no stone, and then if you small wall yourself like Selim has done, there's also no stone available. So you have to go to the outside for the stone, which King Stephen has done. And King Stephen will also now know, okay, my opponent's going to stone, so he's thinking about a castle, but I'll win the race to that castle.
Yep. That was a nice trap there on those light cav. As he managed to clear a couple of those up. Sanctity on the way for the monks, Bengali monks and pikemen. Really, really strong combination, especially when you're fighting in a small area like this. But the villagers are coming forward for the castle. Oh, man. If that castle last game or the castle attempt was any indication, this one might be bad, but it seems like he has enough army to support.
It's really tricky. If he can get walls down, I think this castle goes up. Pikemen don't do that much damage to villagers. But I could see Selim like pulling his own vills and trying to fight this off because the light cav are taking down the pikes are taking out everything else. Instead, it looks like Selim wants to maybe buy his own castle, but I don't know if Selim can do that in time, and it's not going to be easy for him to do it. If the siege is out there too, castle will go up, siege will go down, and no, don't tell me Selim walks right into his base here.
Just comes
That's too
forward.
crazy.
Oh my god. I think we might be watching Doubt versus Yo because this has big Yo energy here. He says, okay, you dropped a castle on me. That's fine. I'll drop a castle on your side. It's okay. We move on. We continue with the game.
I love how King Stephen is getting all these relics, though. Using the outside focus and getting the relics. It'll be 4 relics. And now that you have a castle, you can make Latus. You're going to have +4 attack on a unit that ignores armor. Very strong. Also, the castle being on the TC, I know we laugh about how that castle could have failed. That's textbook right there. You want a castle to deny an important resource or be on an opponent's town center. And that's precisely what that did. But it doesn't take Selim off the gold. And, dude, Selim can walk right into King Stephen's base if he wishes to. With those monks, with any Ratha. I mean, the path is still wide open because King Stephen cut earlier on.
You're saying there's a patha for the Ratha?
There's a patha for the Wrath. I like that. And there's also a patha for the Latus, and this is not something Selim wants to deal with. And the pikemen are disappearing, and King Stephen says, thank you, bud. He's going to run right through with these Latus and the siege, and now Selim's like, no, why did I cut here? Oh, all the farming eco gets
That's what you were
delayed.
trying to
This is
avoid.
Brutal. Yeah.
That's what he was trying to avoid the entire time. And that farming eco, there's a lot up there, dude. As the mangonels are there, and Steven will see that, and he can just camp in this area until the monks come along to convert the latest. Great job from Steven to push in there. Another town center behind from Selim. Also, Mapu showed up at 4 relics for Steven already collected, with the 5th one just there on that left side.
Okay, so the monasteries for Selim are in a position where if he sends his monks to where his TC is right here, he might actually run into the castle fire. It's worth pointing that out. Like, that monastery might be sending monks that direction. He's got to be careful. Now, the redemption tech is great because he can convert the siege, but there should be monks around near the pikemen. And I just don't see any right now. I guess he's making monks from that monastery. But King Stephen, I know he was late with the horse collar, but he's really shot up with eco here. Unfortunately for him, he did lose all of his Latus, and now he's going to lose a lot of his siege. But I'm still very impressed with how Stephen has played the game, but equally as impressed with how Selim has been able to stay alive against this.
Yeah, and Selim can get back on those farms now. At one point, he had like 40 on gold, still 36 on gold right now. Really, really rough, but the Bengalis retain their villager advantage. And he's going for some armored elephants, has the monks, has the pikemen. If he can get the armored elephants attacking that castle, it's really tough for Steven to support against those because it's so far away from where the rest of his base is, or his military right now. Really, really tough to take out those elephants. However, Imperial Age on the way.
Ooh, okay, so the plan here for King Stephen is to, with the castles being so close to each other, it's to get trebuchets out and with trebs win the game. Take down the TCs, take down the castle. It's such an important middle area. But does he see the siege workshop? I need to know if he sees the siege workshop, because if this comes as a complete surprise to him, he might have zero prep for the siege that's going to come into the right of that castle from Selim. The armored elephants, as you said, will be coming in. That's also the Imp TC for King Stephen. Oh, no. Sorry. Town Watch TC. False alarm.
No, calm down. Just calm down. Breathe.
But he doesn't see the siege workshop, Dave. He doesn't know that the armored elephants are going to be coming. And Selim is being patient with this. And if Selim moves soon with 4 or 5 armored elephants, I could see King Stephen's castle going down before the Imperial Age.
Oh, 100%. And then you look at his stone count, and he's going to hit Imp and then not be able to hit any timings whatsoever. That castle's being attacked now. The elephants are there. The latest are here, but the pikemen were out of position, so the latest might be able to clear up some of those elephants. The monks came in right underneath. They're behind. They're hiding behind the elephant. If you can't see them, they're very sneaky.
The monks zoom in. They are behind. The monks are underneath the castle and converted the latest, which might be the difference between this castle staying up or going down. Crazy stuff. Selim the Grim will take out this castle, and King Stephen's going to be an imp with very little map control. Might not even have this castle soon, Dave, if the elephants make their way over here.
Yeah, really, really tough to hit the timings with Lithuanians here when you don't have the castles, like we said. And now on the way to Imp is Selim the Grim, 27 on food now. He's got these 4 elephants, and the pikemen are still pushing over. The monks are able to heal the elephants. This is a really difficult position here for Steven, especially being behind economically.
I will say here's the positive. King Stephen has 4 relics. King Stephen's food eco is not expanded in the middle. So I actually think if you think you're going to lose the middle if you're King Stephen, you could actually just leave. There's still gold outside. There's stone outside, which is not in the middle. Maybe then you could stabilize at some other point. But I think trying to hold the middle for too long here, if you know it's going to be lost, could be his downfall.
Yeah, this is a really tough push here. The monks can just heal up all the damage being done to the elephants, and then the pikemen protect. Meanwhile, on the other side, Steven has to keep an eye on that trip. Because if he's fully focused on this push through the center, there's a potential for Selim to go over there and snipe that trip. Now, it looks like Selim is going into pikemen, but once again, 51 on gold, Tristan. It's crazy eco balance here for him.
I mean, he also has like 31 farms. Like, his food eco is actually really good too.
Bengalis,
and then he's gonna get the extra vills. So it feels like King Stephen's always going to be behind economically, meaning the Trebor has to do something in the middle. There are some Trebs going after one of the castles that Selim has, but this pressure, man, it must be so annoying right now to be King Stephen. You thought you were going to be the one applying pressure and controlling the middle, and suddenly Selim is the one who is almost full control there.
Yeah, I think the issue for Bengalis long term is going to be like, you can't just spam a unit like Latus. or cavalier, right? You're going to have to go into a multi-unit composition. However, look at the eco balance from Selim. At one point, probably 5 minutes ago, he had like 20 something on food. Now he's got 36 on food, still 50 on gold, 144 villagers. It's really crazy, the economy, and halberdiers coming in. This is dangerous.
It's dangerous. I'm laughing, though, because the worst possible thing just happened to Selim. So he lost his castle, and he didn't have the houses set up, so he got housed. But then he got, like, 10 more vills.
Yeah.
So he got super pop lock. And that's a big deal when you're trying to get more monks and more halbs out. Elite Latus is in for King Stephen. We know all that extra attack is going to be there. And King Stephen's Trebs have taken out the castles. And King Stephen has Latus running around. King Stephen is still alive in this game.
Latus can do disgusting things. All right. There's 16 plus 6 attack that ignores armor. If you think these halbs are a threat to these things, well, you're going to have at least double the numbers, because those Latus can shred absolutely everything. Another barracks behind there from Selim, and the halberdiers still harassing on the farms, but Selim is now down to 22 on food, as a lot of those farmers have been idled by the Latus. So great raids here from King Stephen, bringing it back a little bit.
Ooh, monk control here. How is it for Selim the Grim? Selim the Grim gets quite a few conversions. Well played. Monks still survive as well, which is big. The halb numbers now up to 20, and there they are. And this is normally where King Stephen, even with the latest, would want to have some other
look at
units
them just
in the mix.
shred the halbs.
I mean, yeah, it's like, this is also why if you ever see someone only make latest, this is why. Because they're so good. I still think you got to get chemistry here, though, Dave. Get chemistry. If you have gunpowder and elite latest, I'm not sure how the opponent can stop you.
Dang, man. Nice push in the center with 4 trebs. But you need the numbers of the latest, right? Right now he's only got 16. He's got 5 more in the queue, but 141 villagers. The halberdier tech, the monks as well. So your latest are my latest now for Selim. And devotion coming in for Stephen. If this is doubt, he will be saying, I am devoted.
I am devoted. But he says it after units get converted in frustration. I love how the latest that were converted are now being used to raid. That is the perfect use of them instead of tossing them into the meat grinder. Listen, there's also another thing. If we're speculating on players, we haven't seen box formation from either player so far, and Yo and Doubt are at the bottom of the list as far as that's concerned. And then also, Yo is known for getting what's called Yo conversions. That's what people say. So fast conversions. I've seen some pretty Yo conversions at times. What a sick game here, Dave. King Stephen is like kind of pushing, but I'm not so certain he can actually break Selim with Selim's 150 villager count.
Yeah, if he loses that castle in the middle, it's going to be really tough, because then it splits his forward aggression from his main base, right? And then once that forward aggression of these latest, which are very dangerous, once that gets cleared up, then suddenly you have to kind of reset back to your own base. So it's a good push from Selim to try and go through the center there. I'm not sure what the monks are doing over here. Did he just delete that?
If that's any other
he just deleted that.
He did.
Did you see that engagement? I don't know why, because he killed the monk, but whatever.
Dude, he's killing everything here. The latest have found great value here. Villagers are going down. There's also the trebs from Selim towards the middle, which is where Selim is focusing. This is the area. If King Stephen can continue to raid with the latest back here, this could be insane. And I think, again, you can actually give up the middle. You have relics. There's gold elsewhere. You don't need to send everything in the middle if it's going to be too big of an investment to defend there. And more conversions for Selim. How many latest does he have? He's got 7 latest, and now he's going to use the latest to kill villagers here.
Yeah, but look at all the flashing lights in his eco. That was such a great raid from King Stephen, and he killed so many villagers there. It was 150 villagers for Selim, and now it's only 100. That is incredible.
What?
The latest are going
what is
crazy
happening?
Mode in the eco.
This is crazy. He's over-chopped there, but Dave, like, King Stephen can die. King Stephen has killed 80 villagers with these latest, but is getting trebbed and getting halb pushed right now. It's 140 pop for both. There needs to be some type of an answer out here for these halberdiers and these monks.
Once the castles go down, you can't make this broken unit anymore, right? Every unit is broken if you use it well enough, but this one truly is. And he's only going to have, I think, one castle remaining on that right side once that one in the center inevitably dies. Not enough stone, not enough villagers repairing against 4 trebs unless you can come in and snipe all of these.
Oh, man, he's so scared of those monks, as he should be, because every time he gets close to them, Selim is ready, and the castle falls. There is only one castle now for King Stephen to make latest. The positive here, though, is he does have 20 of them. So that's good. There's also still latest finding kills randomly in Selim's eco. But the
41
skirm
on
count
food
needs
again
to
for
rise.
Slim.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Also, these latest have killed like a dozen villagers. Like every time he converts latest, he's killing just as many villagers as he lost, it feels like. Oh my god. I think King Stephen's starting to expand to the sides a little bit, I'm noticing. Must realize that the middle is a problem. The score is good for him, which certainly boosts the confidence. He doesn't have the gold area in the middle. He would need to find resources elsewhere. We got random activity on the sides here from both players, but there's still that big red blob through the middle from Selim as he refuses to quit, and he sees the skirms. And what's he going to do? He's going to convert them to his side and treb down all the archery ranges.
Yeah, it's brutal when you're trying to make a transition and your opponent is right there and killing your production buildings as you're trying to make that, right? So then you have to replace them behind. You keep falling further and further back. Man, every time we go back to Selim's base, there's another group of latest just absolutely mowing down villagers. Oh my goodness, Eco KD now 102 to 55.
But remember, there needs to be a castle to make the latest. And as far as I could see, that only castle is being trebbed down from the middle right now. There it is. That castle is getting hit by trebs. King Stephen needs to get over there with latest while still needing to keep his main eco alive and still needing to find raids. And he is finding the raids. Selim the Grim probably feels like he has this game. But he's lost 120 villagers to latest raids now.
Well, you know, it doesn't help that every single time he sends 10 halbs back to deal with 5 latest, the latest end up winning the fight and then continuing to kill the bills, right? You think you've put the fire out, but the fire never stops burning here. The latest are still producing from one castle. It's 90 villagers for Selim, 110 for Steve, and he's got a decent amount of skirms as now Selim tries to make a switch into the light cab and has to roll his trebs back, so the push has finally been stalled out a little bit.
Dude, this is crazy. This is one of the games of Hidden Cup so far. It could still go either way. There's still so much available gold in the middle for Selim. There's one castle for him, but it's just one castle for King Stephen. They don't really have the fortifications. This is also where it does get awkward to be Bengalis, right? Because you need that multi-comp. He had Halb and Monk. Now the monks are kind of all gone. He's got to wait for more of them. His opponent has skirms. But as I say the trebs find what they want here.
Yeah, 4 trebs is really tough to stop. You only have 100 stone in the bank. You're not saving that castle.
Yeah, and I think then you have to debate on, do you go like Cavalier instead of latest? Now here, obviously, Slim the Grim a little distracted, but he takes the castle out. Might end up losing his trebs here. These latest are insane with the extra attack, but now the latest player does not have a building to make any more of them.
And somehow there's still some in the back.
The other thing I'm noticing?
Villagers only.
The other thing I'm noticing is that Selim doesn't actually have a convenient area for wood beyond this little inner circle. Like, he can't take the outer wood because he keeps getting raided. So there's various instances where I'm seeing lumber camps go up on the tiny wood areas. And if you don't have the wood, you can't really get the food to go into anything else either. He's down to 80 villagers right now.
Yeah, it's really bad. Really, really rough situation for him. I mean, the town centers haven't been producing. He's been very, very distracted. And it feels like Steven has kind of pulled this back. 43 skirmishers, Tristan. I don't know. He doesn't have tower shields yet, but still, 43 skirmishers is really, really impressive.
Yeah, and that's most of them right there, just sitting in the middle. It's actually hit a point where Selim might not even be able to counter skirms because he doesn't have the food eco, right? Light Cav would be the play. He can't afford the final armor upgrade. Of course, the Light Cav, because of how good Selim is at various points, is going to find the bombard cannon there. But his eco is abysmal at the moment. The only thing I'll say is, like, now that there won't be many Latus raids. Now, I see a bunch of Latus spread out, and King Steven's waiting for him. But if those Latus get dealt with, maybe Selim the Grim could expand his eco a little bit.
Did he just buy a
don't know,
castle?
though.
It feels like he did. Yeah.
I think
He bought another
did,
castle in the back.
I think it's also very worth it to do that here when the Latus are a big part of why you've been having success. Skirms are getting massacred here, getting absolutely massacred, and the bombard cannon is going to get converted. So Selim refuses to quit yet again. And what a game here. These guys are such fighters.
And Lycav finding such a great fight in the middle and kind of another pushback here from Selim. Both of these guys refusing to quit. As soon as those castles went down for Steven, it makes it hard for him to do serious damage. I say that, and the latest are still finding villager kills somehow. And as soon as the monks and the Halb numbers disappeared for Selim, it was difficult for him to find a serious push. So it's kind of a recovery mode stage of the game for both of these guys.
This is crazy. The bombard cannon that was just converted is being attacked by villagers who must have known the guy. Latus is killing all those villagers, though. Listen, I know that King Steven has the big vill lead. I know he's still killing vills. I know he can make more Latus. I'm not ready to give up on Selim yet if Selim has the middle and Selim shows this level of fight. Selim has 105 pop, is getting that gold now, finds the ecos on the outside. That's starting to make him aware that, ooh, maybe King Steven's exposed in other areas where there's no castles. Like, these players are incredibly strategic, but also just flawed enough for, you know, for the really high level players where I think this could go on for another hour at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, Steven has the relics, right? Which is great for Lithuanians, double bonus there. But Selim has control of the center, where the majority of the gold is. So long term, it's going to be better for Steven, but when you can just toss 30 villagers on gold, right now it's going to be better for Selim, and it gives him a little bit more in the way of options. Also, have to mention, Wheelbarrow just coming in like a minute ago. Really, really rough for Selim. And maybe why his food income, even with 30 on farms, wasn't really enough to keep the army up.
And I just keep looking. I keep waiting to see Selim's vill count at least be at 100. Which is the minimum you'd want at this point of the game. And it's still like 88 at the moment. And he continues to lose vills. Soon it will have been 200 lost. King Steven buys another castle, and he's going to place it towards the opening. So it seems like King Steven realizes, I can't give him that gold. And he actually found this well. What a find from King Steven. And I take it all back, guys. I think with King Steven's castle, well, having two castles now, with the ability to make Latus, the eco that he has, we might actually be moments away from King Steven mopping up Selim the Grim. If Selim the Grim wants to accept his defeat, that is.
I feel like I've flip-flopped so many times on this game on who I think has the advantage. And the last couple minutes, it's definitely been Steven, and the latest raids are helping out a ton. I mean, you just got to look at the eco kitty. 189 to 88. And Selim is trying to stay competitive, but the villagers just keep dying, and he has to keep investing more resources into more villagers so that he can get his economy back up there, and then they get killed again, and it's just it's a vicious cycle.
And then Selim is like, I'm not dead yet. Like, yes, all that stuff's bad for me, but I'm still going to treb push you because I'm Selim the Grim, and I will never give up. And he doesn't lose a single treb. King Steven now needs to have all hands on deck to be able to deal with this. And the raids there got noticed. Just saying, there's a chance. Selim the Grim also did kill some villagers in the north with Lycav. Monks into the TC there for Selim. Trebs still need to be protected. Castle. There's no stone, really, to repair it right now. King Steven's not noticing
Lycav
the
are going
raid
crazy mode.
in the north. What is happening? Who needs Latus when you have Lycav? Dave? Is it happening again? Where somehow Selim is staying alive in this game.
No, he's gonna. It's the cycle continues, dude. It just keeps looping back around. He's gonna feel fine. He's gonna be like, I'm getting there. I'm gonna recover, and then another raid is gonna come in, and he goes back down to 75 mils again. And we've been through this 15 times before. It will happen again. It is a vicious cycle.
The Trebs are protected again. The Trebs are protected again. It's so easy to accidentally run into that castle and lose those halbs. It is a vicious cycle. I'm still seeing latest. This is the problem. It's like you miss one of them, and by the time you realize, then you've lost 10 villagers. And now we've got Trebs in the middle from King Stephen, and King Stephen will take the castle. There's skirms again. King Stephen will also take the Trebs. And maybe this is finally it in the best game of the series. And Selim's going to drop another castle. Selim's like, no, stop calling the GG, guys. I am Selim. And we are fine. I've got some gold. I've got, 100. I've got 69 vills. That's nice for me. I see Trebs exposed. I'm going to kill them with the latest I converted. What? And Dave the Light Cav are still going to freaking town, by the way. They're still doing it.
How many kills?
They're still
How many
killing
kills?
vills.
Like 30? Oh my, 34!
Oh my god, and now here! What is happening? Oh my god. This game is nuts, dude. There's a 30 population difference between them right now. 30. Oh god.
And the converted latest are so frustrating. Yeah. He's like, have a taste of your own. This is how it feels, idiot.
The consistency in which Selim the Grim has used the latest he's converted to kill tons of villagers is wild to me. He has always found the right spots. Like, if the role was reversed, it feels like Selim, he would have won the game already. With how effective he's been with a unit he can't even build. Oh my god, dude. It's 100 pop against 125. This is a complete reset. They're both, like, really in a bad spot right now.
I think, like, 68 vills is harder to come back from, though. And especially without... He doesn't even have, like... He doesn't have heavy plow. He doesn't have the final wood upgrade. He doesn't have a hand cart. He doesn't have a ton of things. So this 69 villager eco... It's just not as efficient as it could be, but he still fights on. 102 population versus 140.
Oh god.
Now from Steven.
He converted a unit. Good luck, King Stephen villagers. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right now, there's been a change of approach from King Stephen, and that is to focus on hussars and not make quite as many lates. And I like this if you think you're going to run out of gold, and you can kind of save up the gold for other things. I think another thing could be hand cannon. Hand cannon is really tricky for halbs to deal with, for example, but skirms are fine. Okay, there's 2 latest converted. So we'll wait for those things to kill 30 villagers.
56 on food now for Steven. This one should be over. Now, we've said that before, but he continues to get the raids in, and I don't see a way that Selim can come back from this, dude. I just don't. 58 with Winged Hussar. Like, even if you don't take control of that middle, you're just going to be picking away at the eco behind.
What you would actually need is you need a Treb push in a critical area with the halbs before the skirm mass comes in. So you would need like 3-4 Trebs to the right corner, because that right corner, there's a lot of eco there. But it does feel like you're still waiting to mass those Trebs, and it's going to be King Stephen who's hitting him, and King Stephen continues to raid. We got more blue dots just running into this eco. And I'm with you. And I was with you the other 3 times that you felt that this game will be King Stephen's. But Selim the Grim certainly has made him fight for it here. Oh my goodness, dude. So, player guesses here. I'm feeling Doubt Yo or Doubt ACCM or something along those lines. Any disagreement on that?
Yeah.
Any other players that come to mind on who these
I think
could be?
it's... I'm pretty sold. I mean, you got to stay humble, right? But I'm pretty sold it's Doubt Yo right now. Yeah. And people will see the amount of villagers dying and say, like, this is a qualified player. This isn't a top player. No, trust me. Trust me. That I've seen Doubt and Yo lose villagers like this many, many times in the past. And that's a win for King Stephen. A really, really hard-fought, well-deserved win for him.
It was. And I have to say, with how this series has gone so far, I think we're in for a banger. I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game banger. Big name's going to go down. Incredible game. King Steven used his strategy to cut through to the middle, take the rhinos. But honestly, it evened out. Like, it was really close there. And then King Steven just shot out of a cannon with the latest raids. The relics on the outside and the outside control in general brought him so much gold. And I think the res collected right now is very deceiving. I think when the game was even, before the latest killed Vils, I think that you would have looked at res collected. It would have actually been better for Selim. But then when latest just erased 50 villagers at a time, it became really difficult for Selim to keep up. I mean, we have Cup and Koreans here for King Steven. Up against Selim the Grimm's Gurjaras. Wow, these civilizations, Dave, could not be more different from each other.
I've seen Koreans here before. We saw it in the earlier matchup. I believe like the first set, someone played Koreans, right? Maybe the second set, day one for sure, on Cup. But Gujaras, I can kind of see the potential with being able to garrison your fishing ships. Should be nice, right? And also the camels could be strong. The Shravamshas could be strong here, but it's an unorthodox pick for sure.
Definitely is. Now, the fishing ship garrison bonus for the Gurjaras is something that is so rarely seen because the nature of playing the Gurjaras is you want the mill right away. And so you're spending your wood on that, which means your lumber camp's delayed, which means you're not really going to be in a good position to fish. So those bonuses typically work against each other. So I still don't think the fishing garrison thing will play much of a role. But I do think the eco is good for them. I do also think the Shravamsha should be really good against ships, right? Because of how how it works. I don't know about fires. But it should do pretty well
through the armor
against galleys.
real quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it does it have armor against demos?
Well, the Koreans don't have demos, you dunce.
True, actually. Yeah, true. So it's not Tato here. We know that.
I already was thinking about that. I was already like, ooh, how do they do against demos? And then I remembered Koreans do not have it. But Gurjaras and Koreans have only been played 5 times each, and they've done decently well. But I don't think anyone knows exactly where those civs are right now. But Vasco da Gama on day one made Koreans look really good here. And what he did was he played relatively passively in the early game, walled up, and then basically played heavy into the eco. And if you get to late game with Koreans, their navy, their towers, everything on a map, which is pretty close quarters, pretty squished, be really strong.
I'm just wondering, like, what's the opening with Gujaras? Just playing into scouts? Are you going with an archer range? Or are you trying to... I don't know. The early mill kind of negates a lot of the possibilities here, right? You generally won't have the wood for the dock, like you said. The barracks is going to be tough because you have to go for the mill and the lumber camp. So getting the timing on that is going to be difficult. And there's the dock there from Steven. So if you're trying for like a drush or something, you're going to be a little slower than a lot of other civs would be.
I think scouts is a strategy. The good thing about this map, even though it's wallable, is the fishing ships can always be hit by land units. So I think going scouts is good for the Gurjaras. I think this would be a scouts into adapt situation for Selim. And then for Steven, we know he's going to have a fishing ship or two. I would expect that he's going to need to find out his opponent's going for scouts, or maybe expect it.
Do Gujara's camels get extra bonus damage against ships?
Ooh, because of the whole camels versus ships thing. No, I don't think... Wait, do camels even get bonus damage against ships? I thought it was that ships were classed as camels in the past.
They still do. They still do.
They still get bonus damage.
But that was changed. But they still get bonus damage against them. Yeah, which is why the Saracen camels were so good. Okay, then, cool.
Okay. Also, I think the big reason the Saracen camels were so good is because of how much HP they had. They survived so many demo hits in that one game. Oh man. What's the scouting like for Selim? Can we see this? Because he's looking for a dock right now. He doesn't see one. And he did see the original. Okay, so he now knows that that's where the fishing ships are. Now, if just a bit of a zoom out here as we talk about the map briefly. So obviously the players are very close together, but the water element and the land element in the middle is hugely important. If you make ships on one side, you cannot cross over to the other, and vice versa. Having the dock in the middle between you and your opponent's base is obviously helpful, as that's between you and your opponent's base. But then the other area is more expansive and has a lot more map for later on in the game. So I think it's actually quite likely that we would see both players build multiple docks on the other side of the water in combination with whatever they do on land here.
All right, Camel coming over. Could snipe the fishing ships, but you can always hide inside of the deeper waters. And let's take a look. How much damage did it do with that one hit? Let's take a look at the fishing ship.
I don't even know what it would normally do.
6! Big.
It's also a camel scout, so it's not a Castle Age camel. That will change.
True.
That could be a Vil kill. Okay, let's see. Quick wall attempts here from King Steven? No.
Nothing.
Didn't even try. All right, well.
Scouts are coming out.
Very little on food
Selim
right now for King Steven. And scouts are going to be on the way. You can only do this for so long. This whole fishing ship dance, it's really not fun, and I guess the fire galley is what King Steven is waiting for.
Okay, walls coming up from both now. And 2 stones in the back. They're really safe from Steven, which is super solid for Koreans. Like, if he gets the walls up to the edge of the map, that's a really nice map setup. 2 golds, 2 stones, and the berries back there. Really solid. But here we go. Maybe a villager kill. As Selim comes in, he's blocking with the scout. He's trying to get it with the camel. And... got him.
Yeah, gets the villager. Well played. Very well executed. King Steven did try a quick gate there to get the walls down. Didn't happen. But there is a spearman on the way now for King Steven, and King Steven has fishing ships. So it's important to remember that. You can lose a villager and still have the 3 fishing ships and feel okay. Certainly, you feel like you have to kill the opponent's villagers if you don't have the fishing ships if you're Selim. And Selim gets found there. Selim gets found here as well. So definitely quite a few weak scouts out there for Selim. But there are going to be fire galleys coming from Selim's dock there towards the fishing ships. So this is really tricky now if you're King Steven, because you're exposed on both sides of the water and on land, and you have to prioritize all 3.
Okay, we'll know if Steven is doubt.
Ooh.
If in a minute from now, he still has 4 spearmen running after these scouts in the back of his base, and they haven't killed them yet.
Okay, look at the distract attempt there with the camel, and then also box formation. Micro's not so good here for Selim, but it looks like he had box formation for the scouts, which, again, our stats didn't say that Yo doesn't do it, but Yo definitely does it way less than a player that, like ACCM did on our stat graph. Yeah, that is a box formation scout rush there. MBL doesn't do it. Doubt doesn't really do it. And I did see MBL's stream title last night as he was chilling playing some ranked games. It said, "Yes, I have to add a box formation hotkey." Also, it said, "Please don't talk to me about Hidden Cup." So he was like, oh, crap. People can spot me because of that. And then also, don't bait me into saying anything, please. Thank you.
Yep. Fires. Attacking the fish now. That's a great sneaky dock ad there from Selim. And he's going to negate a lot of this fishing eco. And, well, we're looking at the economies right there. Once the fish go down on both sides, potentially, I think Selim is going to have a little bit better eco, right? He's got those goats passively generating food. Horse collar coming in. Farm count looking decent.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think you play this in many ways for the simplicity. Think about what the players have had to do here. King Steven's had to go for a dock on both sides, protect fishing ships on both sides, wall up the entire map, and also, you know, like, get spearmen out. Whereas Selim has made scouts, has not been attacked at all, has not been exposed at all on water, and is now on the offensive here with the fires. And these fires have done an amazing job, weakened the spearmen, and denies the dock for now. And Dave, this is all critical time for the player who's behind to just chill out at home, add the eco, and look towards Castle Age.
Yeah, really, really solid setup here. Selim has a lot of gold in the bank. Should probably go for a market soon, but still wants to get the farm, so spending wood on that right now as he clears up the final fishing ship in the north. Still has the scouts alive, still has the camels alive. although a little bit weak, but it's enough to prevent any of the fish from really gathering food or any villagers coming forward for new docks. So really solid control here. This one's going to make its way to the Castle Age. I think Selim has the advantage.
Predictions on how many turtle ships we see in this game from King Stephen?
2.
It sounded like you were going to say 20 for a second there.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there's I was thinking 1, but if Steven is who I think he is, then he's going to make 1, it's going to get converted, he'll make another 1, and then he'll delete it before it gets converted. And then he'll decide that it's not worth the time.
That is so... See, when I ask these questions, these are the type of answers I expect, and that is so well thought out, and I actually agree with you. I could even see it going up to 3, and then, you know, I guess if there was a mic attached to King Stephen, a rant about how monks are OP when the situation was so clearly to avoid making
after the
turtle
first
ship.
one. After the first one, we have a 15-second delay until devotion comes in. Devotion kicks,
Oh,
and then
true,
the second one gets
true.
deleted anyway.
Oh, true. That's a very good point. Well, I mean, turtle ships are strong, right? And if you're in Castle Age faster, it is genuinely a very good thing to go for. You are going to need, though, to have an area that is uncontested on water. So the bigger water area, the top of the cup, so to speak, is compromised, and he's likely going to lose. But the other area between the player bases, that is prime turtle ship territory, dude. Right through the middle, right up against the farms, it could be really strong.
Villagers coming forward. Is that another dock? It is another dock in the center. And this is hidden cup, but that's not going to be a hidden dock there. That thing is going to get instantly blocked. And the fires can shift back over there. The spears do have a little bit of bonus damage against ships, so they're doing okay, and the villagers are joining in too.
Okay.
And he will get that completed, but has to worry about the scouts still trying to come in from the other side.
Dude.
And Selim is now making a hidden dock of his own on the middle island.
I think I say you, but I agree with you. I think we're wrong. I think we're going to see a lot more than just 2 turtles here. I think the plan is all about turtle ships here from King Stephen.
Okay.
See if it works out. Scouts, camel, villagers. I wouldn't even mind seeing a guard tower here from the Koreans in the middle there. This feels like these villagers are very exposed. Here we go. In the Castle Age. What's the plan for King Stephen? A siege workshop. We have a turtle ship in queue. And there's no potential for monks yet because Selim isn't in the next stage. But I think that's what you should do. I think you should drop monasteries if you see your opponent's going to go turtle ships. Oh, man. Finally, a fishing ship goes down. That fishing ship got a lot more value than I was expecting. So what do you do if you're Selim here with your Jaras? You're getting towered? You're getting turtled? What's the thought process here? I agree with that. Yep. Definitely agree with that. And the turtle ship pops out. And the turtle ship and the pikeman combination, pretty fascinating. Maybe the pikeman's needed there because of the potential of the Shravamsha riders. And we'll see that war galley upgrade come in here for Selim here in just a moment. Right now, Selim's trying to expand away from this, but that tower on the front, the siege that's going to be coming, and the turtle ship is going to make things incredibly tough for Selim to defend from this. Feels like if you make a mistake here, you are going to be completely torn apart, excuse me. Pikeman turtle ship. New meta stuff here from King Stephen. That's a lot of fires, though. I think it all goes down. I think the pikes need to run away, and then the turtle ship's going to go down. We'll see if that's the only one he makes. I assume Dave is getting some coffee, or maybe we're having some technical issues. He can hop in whenever. But you guys are pretty used to him being muted at this point if you've been watching for a few years. It's all good. Dave also has a history of his internet cutting out for about 2 minutes. We are used to this at this point, people. So thank you. Good time to say, oh, looks like he's back. Or maybe we'll be back soon. Okay, I've been told that he is still connected to where he needs to be connected to converse with me, but we'll see. We'll see. It's all good. Like I told production before Hidden Cup 5, I said, hey, this is expected. This guy's going to drop, and maybe the internet's going to be a problem. So thank you, everyone, for the support. Thank you. All donations are split 50-50 towards the prize pool if you wish to do that. This has been an incredible series so far. 3 TCs for King Steven and 3 for Selim. I know it looks kind of grim for Selim with this forward area being controlled by King Steven, but I do have to say, Steven hasn't really accomplished much with his position thus far. I think he will start to if he can get these towers up. But, oh God, we've got a demo coming in. A demo's coming into that shoreline. A demo's coming in. The demo is coming in, and the demo is not coming in. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. We've got a lot of siege from Selim. He wants to stop this tower, and he lands an insane shot. Oh my God. He actually denies the tower at 70%. And so it's pretty much just one tower there, a couple of villagers, and another shot there from Selim. He will take that. As Selim has not allowed this awkward little push from the Koreans to really get started. And we do have another turtle ship being created. That is what, the 3rd tower that has been denied, that has failed. We haven't had, and then we had a Doubt Castle as well. By the way, everyone, this is a good time for me to talk to chat here. Okay, so we have a hero emote for every hero, okay? We also have the typical Doubt emote, but my editors thought it'd be funny, because Doubt is their hero, to make a Doubt hero emote. So it looks as though, like, if Doubt were to be in the game as a unit, if we'd be casting King Doubt instead of King Steven, there it is. Yeah, maybe production can show people who are watching later on. The villager gets sniped there. Selim, beautiful defense, and a nice little boom behind this as well. I'm very impressed with Selim's defense, and obviously he needs to do this because the score right now is, I mean, if it's 2-1 in a best of 7, you really got to tie it up. Beautiful job. 4th TC now coming from Steven. And and the eco is still looking fairly strong behind it. They're pretty close with res collected, and this position still hasn't been broken. I really want to see Shrivamsha Rider against Turtle Ship, because I'm pretty sure with the way that stupid Shrivamsha works, I've been very clear, I'm not a fan of the unit, that it would dodge the damage and be very strong. I guess it would take quite a few hits from Shrivamsha to kill the turtle, because the turtle is very chonky, but maybe we'll see that. There's going to be a TC from Selim. And King Steven still trying to complete this tower. These towers don't have fletching, by the way. Turtle Ship is trying to help out. The micro continues. A very awkward battle. And the tower finally completes.
How many
in theory, though, like if you have...
So
oh, we've had 2 turtles. You arrived at the perfect time.
Okay, well, I said 2. I did say 2. Dude, nothing on my end. Anyway, we'll get into that later. We
it's all
have
good.
turtles, watchtowers. I haven't missed anything. I've been watching the whole time.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, and there's the Doubt hero emote. That it looks like it should be on the scoreboard. We might as well replace it with King Steven at this point. But no bodkin, no fletching even on these towers really has meant that they can't accomplish all that much. And we have a castle from Selim next to this little stretch of land and next to the siege of his opponent. But I guess he feels he has the navy to defend the castle. And this is a very, shall we say, Selim type of castle, Dave. If you think back to the castle from game number 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Man, those towers there, so difficult to push back. The castle's a great decision. The town center on the gold, keeping that control is fantastic. And then we look at the ecos right now. Steven is about to click up. So he's going to start thinking about his own castle somewhere. It's going to be on the little pond. Okay.
I hate that castle. It cracks me up, but it's like, what does that castle actually control? Maybe that castle that King Steven is placing controls the stone and controls the area he already has. I would have actually really liked to see a castle where his docks are about to go. He's trying to redock on water, most likely on his shoreline. And I think like a castle here instead of a tower, it gives you a position, you get all the docks down, and then maybe you could push the gold too. But you know, maybe in his thinking, Dave, that castle that he's just made is for Trebs. His opponent can't stop it, and he could Treb war, win the Treb war, and then take the water with turtle ships or something.
Yeah, and he's trying to get back on the water there with the tower to support as well. And there's going to be a bunch of docks on the other side. So Selim is going to have to worry about that castle in the south with Trebs maybe sitting near there. And then he's going to have to worry about the redock attempt. So it's all about where Selim can allocate his resources and his attention, right? I think you have to go after the docks on the left first. And he's going for another castle. Oh my God.
Oh, and King Stephen deletes his dock because his villagers were trapped, but he meant to delete the tower. This is so doubt, dude. This is so doubt. He tried to delete. I'm pretty sure he tried to delete the tower foundation. No more turtle ships yet. I mean, again, to my point, it felt like this was going to be a claim to re-win water here for King Stephen. That might not happen anymore. Mm-hmm. What a crazy thing. How many times have we seen players on Cup build their castles where King Stephen has built the castles? That is really unique.
I mean, usually they want to build it on land just because it's like a reflex, right? You can't have this buildable water terrain in a lot of maps, so you're not used to making castles on top of that. But Selim is obviously a player that has practiced a lot on this map. He's not afraid of building it there, neither is King Stephen. And that castle will completely deny all of the docks, and he can now focus fully on this right side, which is going to become important as the trebuchets are being built up.
Man, I mean, if King Stephen could get some cav into, if Selim the Grim can get some cav into King Stephen's eco, there's nothing there. All the towers, all the fortifications, it's all being put into this push. And I could see this being vulnerable. Now, you got to think that King Stephen will expect that. But as King Stephen is pushing, he better do well here with this push because he does not have the gold. He does not have those other areas protected right now.
Chemistry on the way for Selim. Now, Gajara's against Koreans as we make our way into the late game here, Tristan. Which one are you favoring in terms of like land army composition?
I gotta go Koreans. I think the towers are really strong. The siege is really good. Yeah. Like Halb Wagon is just so tough for so many civs to deal with. This is before you even talk about like, you know, siege onager or anything, or even the unique techs which apply to their siege and apply to their towers. I think Gurjaras are awkward, but I think what you could do, at least with the position right now that Selim has, is you could damage control at your base, which he's doing, and you could try and raid the other areas which are so exposed for King Stephen right now. You got to punish King Stephen for all the pressure he's applying here and how little he's defending himself at home.
That fire ship was just spinning, wasn't it? I heard it. That thing was moving. It's incredible to me, man, how Gajaras have evolved. Because old Gajaras, even up against pikemen and halberdier and whatnot, people would have automatically gone into Shrevemsha, especially with so much gold in the bank. But now it feels like a lot of players are kind of avoiding that unit because they don't feel it's that good anymore. And he's making light cav with limited food. And also going into some cannon galleons, some bomber cannons, and then adding the ranges behind.
Yeah, I really like the continuation here on water here from Selim to add the cannon galleons. Again, it just speaks to pressuring using your water control. The fire ships continue to go to town. The push continues here from King Stephen. There's not a ton of resistance. The plan here for Selim was probably to use the bombard cannons. There is a bombard cannon there. A lot of the halbs are going down, but it feels like the trebs are still doing so much damage against that castle. Beautiful play from King Stephen. And the light cav are starting to get through, but they're still missing a lot of upgrades. And the food isn't exactly there for Selim right now. He's going to try, Dave, but this push from King Stephen, that castle that I so rudely judged, it opened up so many possibilities here. And, well, that I don't know where these builds are going, but they're not making it. That's going to be... That might be spotted. And the position for King Stephen is incredibly strong right now.
Yeah, maybe the benefit of that castle is that Selim would have never expected a castle there, right?
Yep,
It was so unorthodox that it was in fact orthodox, as the tower is denied and the bombard cannons are coming to push these trebs back. Oh, he gets them with the treb! No way, dude! So lucky.
It is a moment now for Selim where he feels with hand cannons, he can hold against the halbs, and the bombard cannons can take the trebs. He could delay this from getting much worse. Now you have to also add a ton of farming eco because you've lost the majority of your farming eco, but he takes a bombard cannon there. His hand cannons are doing work. And remember, there's still a lot of gold control. So sure, those villagers will die, but it's beginning to feel kind of like that Hidden Forts game where Selim is happy to take some losses and just expand. Only here, he's the only one that has control of the gold area right now.
Oh, man. Korean unique tech coming in, Tristan. Remind everyone what that's called.
I think I say Yupseong. I may be mispronouncing that. And I'm sure that your pronunciation on that is perfect, which is why you asked me to do it.
No, it's
that
horrible,
should add
dude.
extra
That's
range.
why I asked you to do it. It's horrible.
That's as good as I can do, but the technology is amazing for the towers, and that's why he's doing it. But dude, he's not progressing. The tower push is not progressing anymore. The farming eco is looking better for Selim. Selim's gonna maybe snag that relic, and Selim's got hand cannons and bombard cannons and castles and navy, and I could really see Selim getting the job done here, even though he's taken so many losses.
Yeah, and with that many bombard cannons, I mean, the tower is going to be doing good damage to them and can range them now. But the cannon galleons can help out against that. He's got castles to produce trebs, which can outrange the towers. And the hand cannons are just stopping all of these halbs before the crossbows can be massed up. Really, really solid job here from Selim. There were so many towers placed, but a lot of them have been denied before they've been built or destroyed immediately thereafter.
Oh, King Stephen's falling apart. You could tell King Stephen is trying to put out too many fires at once right now. He is going to take a decent fight in the end there, but at this point, I think the towers you have, your King Stephen, they are controlling an area. You need to now control this area. You need to somehow change what is happening here in the middle, because that gold income is so critical in the long run, and he just really hasn't been able to focus there. Now, on the flip side of that, if you don't continue to push, then Selim's going to expect it, so he's going to try and do both, Dave. But another banger of a game between two players who seem a bit slower compared to maybe the rest of the 16 in this event, but are clearly very strategic.
Just now getting Shatrias, too, which is surprising. Wow, that was a snipe by that bombard cannon. Bye-bye, cannon galleon. Bottom of the marsh.
Dude, Selim is doing such a good job. I'm seeing red dots starting to find some different areas. This is what we meant, right? If you want to use your towers and your castles forward, this is where you're exposed. And Selim is realizing that now. And the fire ship continues to dance, which will bring Selim the Grim fans confidence. Dave also very excited about it. And the Arbalest now moving in from King Stephen. He just got that tech. And we have a castle from Selim to defend this area. Dude, he barely has where he started. Can we talk about that? Selim barely has a starting eco, but he squished all this eco up into the north somehow.
It's kind of insane, dude. And he still has all the gold control. Like, how much gold is really available long term for Steven? I guess he's got that. I guess he's got the gold control from Selim's base.
Yeah, true.
And the stuff in the corner over there.
Yep, he's got that gold too.
Still another battle. Wow.
There's all that gold. Yeah, he just needs to get there. The Trebs continue to take out some town centers. This is now going to be TC number 3 that Selim has lost. But what is Selim doing on the other side? Oh, he's been bombard cannon pushing against Trebs, and he took both the trebuchets out. Dave, we could have a really crazy situation where Selim's food eco needs to be placed on the water.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened in that game before. The last game we saw in Hidden Cup, or not Hidden Cup, sorry, Cup, in Hidden Cup.
Yeah.
That went really long. The one player Otto was in the middle, and he was making farms in the middle. and the other player was selling food, and Otto was buying.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean, right? Like, you can't go that way either if you're Selim. So Selim is getting sandwiched right now by King Steven. What in the world? Now, we do have skirms. Gurjara skirmishers aren't the best, but they're still solid enough to defend in a situation like that. That will be the problem now for King Steven. But this game is so incredibly close. Reminder that most of the gold in the long run is going to be on the water area where Selim has his castles right now. But you don't want to waste your gold, and Selim is distracted with the raids, and 3 bombard cannons are exposed here against the Halbs and the war wagons. And dude, I don't know where to look right now. This is insane.
These towers are just too much to deal with. It feels like Steven has an unstoppable push on that one side. He's holding him in on the left, and he's able to defend against the bombard cannons at home because the towers have the same range as them. So they just snipe him down.
Yep.
This feels like a Steven win to me. I mean, that castle can't be held by Selim.
Well, the bombard cannon might have something to say about that. They're looking in different areas, right? So bombard cannon could swoop in. That's an attack round between the Trebs to do damage to both of them at the same time. One of the Trebs goes down. The next one needs repairs, and the repairs aren't going to be there.
Oh,
and the Treb falls.
Nice.
But I do agree that in many ways, it does feel like this game is easier for Steven to play right now because he's not being raided as much. Now it's going to be his turn to use bombard cannons against the Treb.
And this is just the Koreans' difference. The towers, you were talking about them earlier. Having that extra range is so huge, right? The automatic keep upgrade is obviously crazy. And as Selim keeps trying to expand his eco, he's always running up against some long-range, super annoying tower, blocking him from doing so.
Remember, you don't need as many farms with the Gurjaras because that unique tech he researched earlier means that anything that costs food is cheaper. We finally have the farms and the fishermen in the middle. It's actually happening. This is ridiculous.
I like how they're laid as a rice farm too. They're not not a normal farm.
Yeah. Insane. And like, he still has 30 on farms in total. He's now going to shift his Trebs over to try and take out the castle that started it all for King Steven. King Steven's not making a ton of progress here because of the defense from Selim. And this is just back and forth action. Like, with the way this game's going, those Trebs are probably going to go down. Wasn't expecting him to be vulnerable against a fire galley, though. Oh, man. Big losses there. You can't lose.
And the other Treb goes down
unprotected.
too. Oh, and the castle survives. The unorthodox castle. It survives for another day, and the bombard cannon will be able to take out the castle in time. He gets the repairs. No, castle survives for now.
He's going to run out of stone, though. Like, he needs to... The player who supposedly has all this gold doesn't have a lot of gold, and he needs to buy the stone to repair this. And if he doesn't realize, it will go down. His bombard cannon will go down. Finally, King Steven will take the position, most likely. He certainly feels so, because he's diving. And the castle falls. That's a big moment for King Steven here.
It's kind of frustrating to me that at no point has he made a Shravamsha. At no point in this game. When you have all these towers around and everything, I know they're not the greatest unit ever, but I mean, you don't have that many options with Gujaras against Koreans here. Shravamsha raids feels like would be pretty solid.
I think it also might be brain space too. It's been so messy. It's just like Q skirms, Q like F, reboom. You know, you can't think about tech switches in a game like this. This is so funny. He's going to TC King Steven's side as he's now raiding the wood line from King Steven. We didn't even talk about that. King Steven's got his lumberjacks out here. He might be running out of wood elsewhere. This game is ridiculous.
Another one, just like that Hidden Forts game. Another one. The wood lines in the south, very exposed. If raids come in there, the main push is still happening. But Selim pulling most of his villagers away to the center area, and he's going to start taking res from King Steven's old economy on the left side. This is getting kind of crazy here, Tristan. It's still 102 villagers for him, 120 for Steven.
Yeah, and I think the key for Steven, you're okay if your opponent is running with Vils. You're okay if you're not losing the ground. You can lose Vils, but you are taking the ground from your opponent. They are not taking the map away from you. So obviously right now, you know, he's still continuing to push. He might lose his units here. He's got to be really careful, but ultimately, I think he's still in the better position. Now, Dave, he's bombard cannon and trebbing down this castle towards the middle now. He's got light cav to deal with there. The castle from Selim did fall towards the middle. There's a million and one things happening. And we got another treb against the fire galley situation upcoming, it seems like. My goodness.
Dang, dude. He's just kicked off the land completely. He's going to have to go in that swampy terrain. He's getting some good raids up against Selim, or sorry, up against Steven, but great raids in the north, even better than the ones that Selim is getting. Light cav finding
Korean light cav, some of the weakest light cav in the game. King Steven has a civ, which is not really known as a raiding civilization.
Shoot!
But he's made it happen with the Koreans. He's made it happen. The castle's going to stay up.
No,
the castle actually stays up. And with that, we have another situation where Selim the Grim finds himself at 100 pop and is like completely surrounded by the enemy. And Selim the Grim is completely dead now. It seems like King Steven's going to take this one. But Selim the Grim, whoever he is not accepting this, Dave. He continues for a few moments longer anyways to fight, just so we cross the hour mark. And what was a crazy game. It puts King Steven up 3-1. What a fun game. Like, what could Selim have done a little bit differently here, Dave, to prevent the Koreans from getting that little fortified push going here?
I honestly, I think instead of light cav, I think Shrivamsha is a better option there.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's really, really tough once the towers are up, because then you have to make trebs, right? And then you need something to protect the trebs. It's not going to be chakrams because you don't have any castles because they keep dying.
Yeah.
And there was 2 turtle ships, by the way. So my prediction was correct overall. But like, yeah, it's just a really, really difficult position that Steven put him in with that castle forward and then the towers to follow it up.
Game number 5, and it's on slopes here, Dave. Hindustanis for Selim, and it is the Georgians for King Steven. I was thinking that Georgians would be saved for evacuation, but anyways, here we are.
I mean, King Steven loves the mule carts, right? We know some other players that love the mule carts too. Georgians, though, matching up against Hindustanis, like Hindustanis feel so solid on this map. And when you think of Georgians, you're basically thinking Manaspa. Well, we kind of have a solution to the Manaspa on the Hindustani side with the camels.
Yeah, that's true. Georgians start with their mule cart, whereas their Armenians just have the cheaper ones. The mule cart, you can bring in resources from hunt, wood, and then golden stone. And obviously it moves. So you can't push deer or anything with it. You can't even bring in sheep with it, but it can act as a scout. And so King Steven is actually scouting with the mule cart and is going forward with the scout to maybe try and steal something from his opponent's base right now. His scout's already in Selim's eco, and he's going to find some sheep. So that's an interesting strategy here. I don't know how much the mule cart really affects it, but he's certainly going to find some reward as he finds another sheep there. Yeah,
Dang,
I think
dude.
Selim will actually... I
might find
Selim needs
another
to be
one,
careful
too.
not to give up more, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Selim is just going to... He knows he lost that sheep. He probably knows that 1 or 2 other sheep were taken. So he's just going to push in the deer and try and keep the food eco sorted.
Feels very minimal, but this is where you're like, okay, my villager's a little bit cheaper. It's fine. But if you can't push in the deer, if King Steven tries to annoy your deer push, that's actually really frustrating. And King Steven might now think, I haven't pushed deer myself, but what I can do, is he using the mule cart right now for hunt? Hold on a second. King Steven strat?
Yeah, he's over on this side, yeah. I just wonder, like, do you... So, Tristan, do you go and take the hunt early to get up, and then you shift those villas over to wood with the mule cart and not even make a second mule cart at home and just take the stragglers until then? That's my question.
You have... It's a good question. I think there's a point where you absolutely have to get a lumber camp at home because you're just making so many vills you're going to need somewhere to
Mhm.
send them. You don't want to send them across the map. But this is a prepped strategy. This has not happened yet in Hidden Cup 5 to use the mule cart like this. This suddenly makes me more excited about the Georgians pick because you're taking advantage of other bonuses instead of just waiting for the Manaspa. And, I mean, now you've got the extra sheep. Your opponent's deer was delayed with the push. This is a very good start for King Stephen.
Yeah, really, really solid stuff. So we'll keep an eye on this mule cart. Like T90 said, it's nice to have one at home, right? You don't want to keep sending villagers out there. But look, he's just going to the stragglers. So I'm thinking that he won't even make one until he's like almost in feudal age.
Yeah, I agree. Now he will. This is where it gets tricky with all these strats where you skip collecting wood. And it is, you need a barracks and a stable most likely. And then you need the wood for the mule cart, whatever wood you spend on that. You also spend food. So getting that balance down is not the easiest thing. Selim has the scout underneath the TC. Like, it's been underneath the TC for a bit. What? You see that? Just patrolling the scout underneath his TC? I don't understand. Selim, you're grim, dude. What do you do? Why are you so scared? What? Huh? This is weird to me, dude. I don't know what he's expecting. I'm trying to think. Like maybe he wants to get his walls down.
Maybe he thinks he's just gonna. He knows he's gonna be slower to feudal, so he doesn't want to take any chances.
He doesn't want to move out. That is extremely low confidence.
That's like an arena
not move out
kind of play. Yeah.
Especially on this map because you should be focusing on scouting how your opponent is using the side resources. That's one of the biggest things about this map. And there it is. There's the other mule cart, Dave. And now everything's transitioning to wood. Interesting. Now, I wonder what happens with those villagers that are on the side. Do they just come home? Wow, Selim going full walls here. Because you can't collect fish to the mule cart. It's just the hunt. So I think it would feel natural for the villagers to come home.
The only thing I can think of with that scout, and this is like a recipe. Like we're cooking here, right? So he's going up. He's going up 20 population, right? But he's full walled, and his score is very low because he hasn't been scouting. His opponent might think that he hasn't clicked up yet, and will be thinking, okay, he's just going for a fast castle, or something along those lines, because the score is very low. But now feudal age comes in, and
this is where your scout should be out of your base.
His opponent is very confused. Yeah.
This is where, like, you're at the very least. This Ville's going to stone right now. That'd be interesting. Probably just wood, but at the very least.
Scout
you should go look around, dude. You should go look around. I agree.
But he's hiding the stable, Tristan. Like he's hiding it behind the walls where it can't be found.
Huh. Yeah,
so
he's hid the stable, and also King Stephen doesn't see the barracks. So King Stephen right now, I might think his opponent is going fast castle into camels, Dave, which is why King Stephen is going to stone and walling and not making scouts.
Yeah.
He is making spears, though, which makes me think, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Definitely some mind games here. Definitely some big brain plays involved in what we're seeing at the moment.
It's definitely a recipe. Is it a recipe for disaster or success? We don't know. But he sees the second scout. I don't know if he noticed that. The scout stopped moving there. Didn't see them come out. He probably made a spearman just because of the starting scout from Selim. And he's probably assuming right now that Selim is going faster feudal wall and then that feudal boom strategy, right? Where you get horse collar, double bit axe, and then you click up to castle age fairly soon.
This isn't working for Selim. You show up, you don't see the mill, you see that there's a mule cart there with them mining stone. Actually, here's a question. I should know this, but it's still relatively new. When you scout a mule cart and you go back to Fog of War, does it show it like it would show a lumber camp or a mining camp? It should, right?
I think Slim's it shows Fog of War, in the same position, but I don't think it shows it. I'm not sure on capture age, but I don't know if it shows it moving. I don't know.
It's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because again, if that's a mining camp, you know it's there. But because the mule cart is a unit, I don't think it actually shows it.
Yeah.
Which could mean if Selim didn't notice, he might not even be able to look back there later and realize that stone's being taken there. Huh. That's interesting. It's the first time it really dawned on me. I think it's also rare that plays a role, but we'll see. I mean, at this point, you got to be expecting your opponent could go for the Manaspa if you are in Selim the Grim's position.
These scouts have done nothing so far, but he's still making them.
So far.
He's going to have 6.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm trying to think about this. You go full wall, lacking some confidence with scouting. You go full walls. Now you go for a lot of army. Now it's Hindustani scouts. And it's box formation scouts, which again just keeps making me think. I don't think this is Yo anymore. Yo doesn't, but maybe Yo does do it. We got the walls coming up. Now Hindustani scouts do more damage against buildings. What about mule carts? Oh God. Oh God.
This is such a dope moment.
Now what have you done? He moved it. Oh no, down confirmed. No. Oh, okay.
And
the other ones.
I mean, this is some serious. And those scouts are doing more against that mule cart because they're Hindustani scouts. This is like completely unexpected from Steven's point of view, right? He didn't think that there would be this level of scout production. He knew about the scouts when he saw 3, but his opponent fully walled and went up a little bit later, right? So he didn't expect it at all. And suddenly there's nothing to be done about this. That mule cart will die eventually if Selim decides to commit onto it, but it looks like he's leaving now and going for the market at home.
It could have been worse for King Stephen because one of those villagers just walked all the way home. Like that, those villagers could have easily gone down. Does also kill quite a few scouts here. So it could have been 4 villagers down. It also could be, no villagers on stone right now. But
yikes.
Okay, well, it's going to be 3 vills down. Okay, quick wall. Viper, quick wall. King Stephen is Viper confirmed?
King Stephen is currently staying humble. He's currently staying humble.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a player who does not attempt to quick wall all that frequently. And I'll let people decide who that may be. There are quite a few of them out there. Don't tell me these get through as well. Hindustani scouts. Woo, that was very close.
But they're going to be attacking on the other side. And like, if you're looking at this from a spectator point of view, you're thinking, okay, it's very easy to keep these scouts out, right? You just pay attention, you wall up behind. That's not how it works in the game. Players at this level will keep themselves safe a lot of the time, but occasionally you will see the scouts break through because there's just too many things you need to focus on at once, right?
Yeah. And this is this has been mind games from both in some ways, but obviously it's worked out for Selim the Grim. Selim the Grim basically said, I'm going to wall and then surprise you with what I've got, and I'm not going to run through that hole in your wall because I don't see it. Instead, he's thinking, I will just simply take out your house and be as annoying as possible here. A couple archers are going to be coming out from Selim behind this. The house will probably stay alive because the scouts see the spearmen now. And a couple archers are obviously going to be out there for the spears, so...
Is it cav archers here for Hindustanis?
I would have said yes, but now I see 2 archers, so I'm not sure. It is a bit of an interesting time to add the archers, because he only has 1. It would have felt pretty natural to go CA, but maybe he could still go cav archers. And maybe the light cav upgrade could make sense. King Stephen's worried right now. Like, King Stephen's game plan initially was really strong, but he wasn't expecting the aggression. He's lost 3 villagers now. His opponent's much faster to the castle age. But he is going to go for the Manaspa.
Yeah, and he'll be continuing to add archers. The reason you would go for cav archers on a map like this is obviously the mobility, which is kind of negated by the walls from Steven, but also the fact that you don't have to pay for that crossbow upgrade, and you already have bloodlines for your scouts. So there's a lot of upgrades that you already have, and you're getting husbandry too, that transition naturally into cav archers.
I really like what Steven did here, though. Like, I understand it went wrong, and maybe some people will say this is the classic example of trying to be too creative and then hurting yourself with the 3 villager losses. But how he played this game has been really intelligent. There is still a hole there, right? Or is there a tree?
There might be a tree. There might be a bush. We don't know. Doesn't look like anything.
I don't think there's anything there. But Selim the Grim just assumes his opponent would be walled, and so isn't going to look. And King Stephen also assumes his opponent would start running through if there was a hole, so Castle's going to go up. So will a fortified church, and so will a town center there for King Stephen. And both players are going to expand their economies. But this is going to be a Manaspa versus Camel war here, Dave. And the Hindustani camels should be one of the best camels to be able to deal with this unit.
Mm-hmm. However, we've seen the unit can be busted, right? It's got a very similar feel to the latest. It's like once you get into it, it's really, really tough to stop, even with the counter units to it.
Yes.
However,
yes.
in low numbers, they're really not all that powerful. So until there's maybe 20 of them on the field, I don't think Selim has to seriously be worried. Just keep massing up your camels calmly and make sure you're producing villagers at all times.
So, yeah, the Manaspa produces very quickly. Low HP, but high attack. And as you said, higher attack once you get more of them. I want to turn around this whole guessing game for just a second.
Cap.
We think King Stephen might be Doubt, right? We've had the Doubt castles. We've had, the big brain strats. And we've mentioned Yo for Selim the Grim, but Yo loves to go for Latus. Yo loves to go for Manaspa. Yo loves his unique units, war wagons, turtle ships. And there's a thought, as we see a monk actually get the conversion there and run away, there's a thought that maybe, at least civ-wise, strategy-wise, I could see someone like Mr. Yo also doing what King Stephen's doing. But I think I would have expected a bit more house walling in some instances from Yo, maybe better defensive plays at times. And these have been some big brain strategies from King Stephen. So this is normally something we'd associate with someone like Doubt, which is why people have said his name.
Mm-hmm.
Nice defense so far. House walls needed. House walls will happen. And relics coming in for King Stephen. So yeah, King Stephen's actually not rushing out with his Manaspa at all. He's being very smart. He's like, I know this unit can be busted if I get enough of them. And he's taking his time.
Yeah, and he also has the churches boosting his eco, right? So as long as the villager number is somewhat similar in Stephen's mind, he should have equal opportunity to boom up. And the Manaspa, like we said, are just better in numbers. So why not mass them at this point? Still, wheelbarrow difference and still a villager advantage for Selim. So when we take a look at the res collected, he's ahead by 2k almost, which is not insignificant.
I think what is going to have to be the key here for Selim is making a few more light cav. He has just queued them because he sees the monks now. And if you think the camels are enough, you're okay. But when you see the monks, then suddenly you're like, oh boy, if he converts my units over to my side, it could be problematic.
Selim.
And a very, very, very good fight for Selim. And a late reaction from King Stephen. And the monks go down. The Manaspa go down. And wow, that is just not what you wanted there for your King Stephen. He can't build up the Manaspa number much better than he was now. He's down to 4. Monks also expensive. And he's scared to expand here, Dave. 4 TCs in the middle of the map.
Yeah, and the longer this goes, the worse it's going to get for him. Because the camel number is constantly growing. The eco lead is now growing as well for Selim. And the Manaspa, you still only have 1 castle, right? With limited stone supply. If you get to Imperial Age on equal footing with your opponent, he's going to have imp camels against Manaspa. And it doesn't matter how broken the unit is, they're still going to lose that fight.
I think in some ways we might have seen the game plan just shift for King Stephen. King Stephen's like, well, I can't go even harder into Manaspa now. And maybe even the monks. Yep. Instead, maybe I'll just boom and I can go for something like Halb. I think opening Halb against the camels would be realistic.
Forward castle, maybe with the Halbs to support. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is funny. Lycav are like, hello, guys. I thought I was allowed in here. And they're like, no. No red units allowed. And the Lycav get chased away, but the camels now get through. That was a hole that King Stephen left from before. That will be plugged up. But Dave, King Stephen, we talked a lot about him, but let's talk about Selim the Grim. He chose to go for the 4th TC. I love that decision. I think that's really smart with how cheap the villagers are with the Hindustanis.
Well, it's very clear to Selim exactly what Steven is doing here. He's just kind of hiding behind his walls, has a bunch of fortified churches back there, has a bunch of farms, 40 farms. Really, really solid. And nice. Canadian land party. Big, huge. Love to see it. Anyway.
Glad to see all our Canadian viewers there in one screen.
Yeah, exactly. Imperial Age on the way for Selim. And this is perfectly fine for him. There's a castle in front of that gold there for Steve. And he's just going to mass up the Manaspa. But camels are crazy. Especially Hindustani camels.
Really strong. It does feel like King Stephen's castles are kind of for a treble more than anything with how he's positioning them. Anytime Stephen tries to move out, he's getting found by Selim, who seems very comfortable, very active, positioning units on the sides. And like you said, he is extremely well aware what his opponent is and is not doing right now because of this position. And it feels like if he thinks ahead and realizes what can counter my camels, and then realizes that answer is hand cannons, the chemistry upgrade could come in. Archer ranges could be dropped for hand cannons, and yeah, there they are.
There's
man.
the archer ranges. Yeah,
this feels like I know it's 3-1 right now for King Stephen, but Selim is good enough to get a couple wins in a row as well and take us to the game 7. This is like as good a position as Selim has had all series to take advantage of.
I just love that Selim has the recognition to realize exactly what his opponent is doing, and then has the comfort levels when it's 3-1 to not feel the need to push and disrupt it, right? He's like, my late game is going to be better than your late game. Now, Georgians are impressive with the Manaspa, but they don't really have that many other options, especially if you preemptively negate the Haub with the hand cannons like you were talking about. And there's a lot of archer ranges being made, so he's not going to have any production issues once chemistry comes in.
Something I have to say about the Manaspa, they're lower HP, right? And the lower the HP is on a unit that benefits from bloodlines, the more important it is to get bloodlines. And there's no bloodlines right now for King Stephen, so he's lacking a lot of HP percentage-wise. Now he's going to get it, but that explains some of the fights from earlier. But
and you know, if you're a king, it's important to look after your bloodline.
Absolutely. And if you're Selim the Grim, it's important to execute your enemies as quickly and as painfully as possible.
It's a bad habit, bro.
It's a bad habit. Yes, it's not war crimes. It's bad habit. And so we'll see if Selim the Grim will execute on that bad habit here in just a moment here with King Stephen. And castles are going up. I mean, we also should mention Georgian castles stay up for a long time if they have a little bit of a hill advantage. But, oh, that's if it goes up. That's if it goes up. Oh, no. King Stephen, not again. I'm trying not to say the name. Okay, it's going to go up. It's going to go up. The camels are fighting the Manaspa instead. These are heavy camels. The castle's definitely going to go. It's maybe going to go up. It's probably going up. The castle goes up just as we all expected. And my God, the Manaspa actually are doing amazing. That's before the elite upgrade.
Well, that was a terrible fight for Selim. Like, Selim should have picked something to focus on there, right? He sent half the units after the monks, half after the Manaspa, and then he split them again between the villagers and the Manaspa. It's like he looked away during that fight. 3 conversions came in, and then you lose all of your army because you're only fighting with half of it at the time. But I assume he was focused more on his economy, which is now up to 144 villagers, and the hand cannon production at home.
Also, unique tech could fly in for that to get the crazy range on the hand cannons. He just has to make sure that the hand cannons are never in a position where they're not protected by camels. And then the camels obviously need to be protected by the hand cannons if Halberdier comes in for King Stephen, which is coming in now.
Second armor upgrade, please, Selim, for your camels, please. That probably didn't help in that fight.
Yeah, true. Also didn't help that the Manaspa count is pretty high now. Again, you're getting more attack the bigger the army gets. And that's not a difficult thing to do. You're going to be making more military units anyways. 14 plus 6 attack on those Manaspa. These things are insane. I actually think that King Stephen can win this. If he gets to 40 Manaspa, 20 Halp. I think he could wreck the fight.
I like the fact that Selim has walled in the north there and has a castle up on the hill. So if Steven tries to come in there and raid again with the Manaspa like he did with the latest, at least he's going to take some initial damage. And here they come. He's going to try and mix it up a little bit. He knows he probably can't take that main fight, as Imp Camel is now only a minute and 20 seconds away. Steven is going to try and come in and kill the villagers, and we're going to need to see some damage control here from Selim.
Yeah, do you want to deal with this if you're Selim when you're trebbing down your opponent's castle? That's what King Steven wants. That stable, by the way, is the Imp Camel stable. So if that were to go down, that would mean Imp Camel's denied. You can't get over there easily with your camels because the Halbs have positioned over there, and all King Steven wants to do is use this as a distraction so he's able to protect his castle, but the hand cannons are on the way. Imp Camel now 30 seconds away. There's hand cannons! They need to wedge between the houses. Oh, that's perfect.
Oh,
just don't
that's
move.
Such a good spot to sit. And now the camel reinforcements are coming in to deal with those. And there's another army of camels after clearing the halves. We still have 15 hand cannons in there. We got Imp Camel now in. And bye-bye Manaspas. See you later.
Bye-bye hand cannons as well. Bye-bye Trebs as well. I don't think this fight was as bad for King Steven as it could have been. And the game will continue here. It's still 2 relics for King Steven versus the 3. He still has the stone. He still has the gold on the side. Got 14 plus 8 attack now on this unit that, many people asked me, like, are we going to allow this? Are we going to allow Georgians in Hidden Cup? Many months ago, I was like, well, yeah, I think Georgians are lacking other bonuses. Yada, yada, yada.
It's a very interesting stable behind for King Steven.
For King Steven, yeah, just to try and get some raids in there.
But it's gotten cleared up, so great awareness there. Dude, it is so fascinating to me that Steven has not stretched out to the sides yet. Like, he is playing deep into Imperial Age and running out of wood even, and he's just now going out to the side.
It's also wild how King Steven's the one with Trebs. And Selim the Grim, after losing his Trebs, he's got 1. But, like, I could easily see this being another situation where his Trebs get sniped, even by the enemy Trebs, and he doesn't push King Steven, which gives King Steven the opportunity to actually expand to the sides, if he wants to. Big engagement. Manaspa go in. This is Imp Camel, 9-range hand cannons, and Halbs and Manaspa here. And I think the Halbs and Manaspa are winning. I honestly think it's just so strong. Who cares that it's a counter unit when Manaspa just kill everything?
No, they should be cleared up now. Okay, you just got to get rid of the
You're
house.
right. False alarm.
Got to get rid of the house. Hand cannons didn't die behind there. The Manaspa are getting weaker as they lose more numbers too. So they join that battle at full strength, and then halfway through, when it looks like they're gonna, wash everything away, they're losing attack value. So they're getting weaker and weaker and weaker. You got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point there. That initially it's insane, but then once some of the units die, the attack's going down. That's a really good point. Yeah, that will change based on how many units are in the group. Still no trebuchets to push these castles, though. I think, honestly, if you're King Steven, if your opponent, as he's trebbing the units right now, if you have castles, you don't have to be taking this fight right now. Selim the Grim is pushing you without siege. Selim the Grim's going to clear everything. He's going to take the trebs, and then maybe he'll bring in the siege. But I'd like to see King Steven maybe try and raid the sides a little bit, because unless your opponent is really forcing your hand, you don't need to take those engagements.
Yeah, I think Selim needs to tech into, like, Hussar as well. Like Cav at least, just to push the sides a little bit. 64 on food. The camels are great. But how much gold long-term does Selim have? You got to get those techs in before it's all gone. I don't think he's got that much remaining to him, honestly. He does have the Hindustani unique tech, so he's getting more from the relics and from his gold, but still.
Yeah, I guess that brings all the more importance to this area, pushing the middle. You can see there's only 6,000 more gold left on the map. That's not a lot of gold compared to what we would have started with. But it seems like this gold will be freed up for him soon because he is finally here with Siege. And this means that King Steven has to build up a big mass of Manaspa again. It's Manaspa or bust for him. And if it didn't work before, Dave, I don't know if he's going to be able to go straight Manaspa again and get the job done, especially since the camels were fighting without upgrades before.
Yeah, this ain't it. Just not it, right? Another castle will fall, and then suddenly 4 tiles of gold available for his opponent. And we have to think about the gold available for Steven now, as he's not going to be able to take that stuff in the center.
What a series, man. Like, am I crazy to say, am I jumping to conclusions to say that if Selim wins this game, I could easily see him winning the next one and
I
going
can see
to
him
game
winning.
7?
Yeah.
Yeah. The level seems close. Like, the fact that it's 3-1 doesn't mean too much to me. I just look at every single game, and every single game between these two has been really, really close. And Selim has had leads at points that, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to finish off. What a series, folks. What a series. Again, we do not know who these players are. They don't know who their opponents are. They could maybe have some guesses based on the style. But it just adds so much to it. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your interest. But Selim has his camels exactly where he wants them here, and he's taken out another castle from King Steven in the middle. King Steven now trying to expand to the sides. God, there's Manaspa. Wrecking Imp Camel, which should be one of the strongest counter units to have in the game. But again, I think the gold's going to be there for Selim to make more camels. He did take out some of the Manaspa. But I guess Steven just doesn't want to resign if he could still make Manaspa. I don't blame the guy.
I mean, you've got the pikemen now, and you've got the castle kind of forcing the Manaspa to engage. You can't let that go up. So you have the pikemen with the hand cannons behind, and then all your reinforcements are going to be imp camels coming in. So it should be a decent fight, especially with the way that Manaspa scaled downwards with the more they lose. I don't think this is that bad for Selim. I think this is actually quite good for Selim, because we look at the gold income from Steven. He can't afford to replace any of this.
That's fair. Yeah. Pike was a really nice addition here. A lot of players won't go for pikemen if they are if they don't get Hal, right? I feel like the bonus damage isn't enough in him, but it's a meat shield for those hand cannons. The Manaspa are going down. There is not a lot of resources remaining for King Steven. And Selim the Grim will complete this castle. He will continue this push, and we will move on to game number 6. I'm sure of it. Potentially game number 7. Actually, 0 on gold right now for Selim, I'm noticing. I didn't realize it was that bad.
He's got 4 new tiles, though, with the Hindustani unique tech as well, so he should be able to get that in. He had 30 Imperial camels in the queue when he took that fight.
Dang,
so
crazy.
There's a lot of investment there.
Look at how he built up his base this game. The castles to the sides, the TCs on every single area. 3 TCs in the middle, TC on the left, TC on the right. Like, the way he built up his base is so orderly. And it made so much sense for the situation. And so does this. He hasn't really been raiding the sides much, but he's going to find 20 villager kills there. And I think he's going to eventually force King Steven to accept that it's game over here.
Once that castle's gone in the center, it's over, right? Like, it's probably already over right now. You're losing a ton of vills, but now if your whole plan is Manaspa Hal, you're just losing one of 2 castles. I know they produce fast, but they don't produce that fast that you can mass up from one castle alone. He does have 1,000 stone in the bank, however. So maybe he can make another one.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no pressure. You don't really need to feel like you need the 4, 5, 6 bomber cannons or trebs if you're Selim. Like, your opponent's not raiding you. You know where he is and where he isn't. So you can sit there with 1 bomber cannon. If he wants to take his time, he can take his time to die. But he goes in with the imp camels. He says, screw siege.
Hindustanis, dude.
I'm going to use my camels to do this. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You
one
just
way to
kill that
force the
castle
issue
right away.
there.
It's only 3 vills repairing it. The Treb is out, and the bomber cannon almost takes down the castle. It's still alive. It's still alive. GG.
What a crazy performance there from Selim the Grim. It looked really awkward. The scout underneath the TC in Feudal, he looked scared being 3-1 down, but then out of nowhere, he showed up with scouts. He surprised King Steven, and he played a smooth transitional game in towards Castle Age and Imp. Felt like the type of game that Selim the Grim is incredibly comfortable with. It's the reason he picked it as a home map and collected 10k more resources, more of every single resource. But the negative the thing to think about here. Oh, this is the highlight. I mean, this is just so doubt, right? Like to move the mule cart in that moment, to not really be able to get any quick wall saves. This was the moment that really surprised King Stephen. But to get ahead of the game here for King Stephen, he's still got 2 home maps, so this isn't too tough of a loss to stomach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you want to finish it off 4-1. It's really, really tough when you get everything that you wanted in terms of unit composition and you still lose, right? Like he had 40 Manaspa, and he had the castles in the center. It's just it's a tough recovery from a loss like that. But what he has to think about is, I got at least 1 more game to give away, and I got 2 more chances to win the set and move on. So for King Stephen, he still has the advantage here. Selim now has to play on 2 of Stephen's home maps.
Wow. Game 6. And we've been saying it. It feels like this could easily go to 7 games because of how close the level was. We had the longest game probably in Hidden Cup 5, but it's too early to tell on this map just yesterday. We had 700 wood remaining on the map, which is pretty crazy. Now, in that very game, we had Goths, and the Goth player at the start went forward with a villager and tried to lame and make it messy. And I believe we are seeing a repeat of this right now as the scouts are both scouting with their patterns. I see one very unique pattern, and there she is. Bloom should be in queue for King Stephen. It's not in for her yet, but it is instant when it researches. And yeah, the idea on a map like Evacuation, which is already so difficult to play, is just take as many resources as you can and get an early lead here.
And the idea playing against Goths is get the resources into your TC, specifically the food, because the villager will be nearby. And the boar has been found by Steven here. Selim knows that the scout is over there and will bring in the rhino. So that's fantastic. We'll have 2 rhinos underneath the town center, a little bit of food rot because they came in so early, but it's better than not having it at all.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I mean, in the game we saw yesterday, the player was able to steal some sheep, but then also able to kill that rhino with the scout, actually. And Selim knows that there must be goats on the move, and is like, okay, one was going that way. What about the other? And then finds a cow, and then finds the other goat. So this is a
so
feast
much food
for Selim.
And meanwhile, she's stuck in the desert. Is anyone there? Is there anything here? Like, she can't find anything. The villager's completely lost.
She was given a map with an idea of what to look for and where to find it. And she's like, I'm pretty sure I followed the directions, but yeah, there's nothing happening here.
Is there a forward dock from Steven? Like, eventually?
Okay.
Or do either of these players go for a dock here?
This is the most Dave comment for me of the day. But if you already have the Vil there, could you just like wall up the shorefish? Is that too crazy?
Oh,
just little random palisades on the shorefish?
That's such a... Okay. I like the cookery. All right. But clearly you've been reading the wrong recipes online, because that just takes so much effort. So much effort for... He can just drop a dock and make fishing ships anyway and not take fish with the villager.
Okay, I just wanted you to know what it felt like to be me for a moment. That's all. So now you get it. Now you had to be the logical one. We just switched roles for a moment, and now we'll switch back. And there goes the dock for Selim. And we might see a more defensive dock here from King Stephen as well. But the Dravidians, their docks give them population space. Their fishing ships have great carry capacity. When you get to the next stage, you get this big boost of wood. Dravidians also have fantastic infantry themselves. I do feel like Dravidians is a great civilization for Selim the Grim here against the Goths.
You done?
I'm done. I was just wondering. I really felt like you were gonna come back with something there.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
I was worried. I could tell you were steaming.
Yeah. That's what I do.
I wasn't. The last comment I did, I wasn't trying to be. I was just bringing up what's possible. That's all.
I'm supremely logical, Tristan, with all of my observations.
Everyone
honestly,
who's logical says the words, I'm supremely logical.
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm not over here counting lumber camps. Okay. And freaking out over how many villagers people have on wood early or whatever it is that you do that helps people sleep at night.
Whatever it is you do. Well, listen, this villager has been active. She hasn't found as many boars or rhinos or sheep as she would have wanted, but she's supplying some vision here, and she'll now see that Selim the Grim is wandering out here to take the resources on the outside. That is most likely going to be a lumber camp, but there is also food out there as well, which King Stephen will keep a close eye on.
That's such an interesting outpost because it like tracks all of your movements from this main base.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it might come into play later, especially once Town Watch is in. And there's the barracks.
Whoa,
Feudal Age
dude.
coming. Will that be
This is
discovered?
sick.
If that's discovered, that's problematic for Steven if that's found.
No
way, dude!
Selim just passes it. I think Selim would have assumed that the villager built the outpost and walked this way, which is why Selim is coming to protect his villagers. He sees the scouts moving around there. I mean, you kind of have your choice if you're King Stephen on what direction you want to attack. But yeah, the last thing Selim is expecting is a barracks behind the walls he's just built.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world, man? Also, the villager's trying to go home. And, well, she's building a home. Excuse me. This is her new home on the lumber camp of Selim. And, quick wall? Ooh.
Oh. That just
Oh, God.
gets
Those villagers
calmly
don't know what's
walked
coming,
around.
dude. Those villagers don't know what's coming. They're like, I got this. Surprise. And there's the militia. That could be a dead vill for Selim, but he does react right away. Great reaction
That
time
house
from
is-
him, but what a messy game.
That house is making things very, very difficult on that wood line. Very, very messy for Selim here. And that was a great job by Steven to make that and just kind of lame the wood line a little bit. And now Selim has to make sure that they make a palisade wall behind there. Otherwise, the militia can go right through. But apparently they chop right through at the exact moment they needed to. And the vills will now wall themselves in on the other side of the lumber camp. So here we go.
I like how, the whole idea of this attack from King Stephen is, oh, the wood lines are awful on this map. It gives me an opportunity to kill vills. But then because the wood lines are awful, it actually saves the vills. Nice save there from King Stephen. Both players are going to prioritize water. But,
Militia
man, I
coming
mean,
back over.
that villager's still walking around. She's not finished yet, dude. She's going to do something.
No, and there's not really any support near that wood line. And if he goes for men-at-arms, and then I was going to say a tower, but a range probably makes more sense long-term. You don't want to invest into just a one-villager tower that can be countered. This could be very problematic for Selim.
Mm-hmm. This is amazing. This pressure. Oh, God. The starting scout is still has
ball.
pretty good
Huh.
HP.
Nice.
Okay. There is an archer on the way. It's very important that Selim knows about this. The archer could actually kill this villager pretty soon here. Men-at-arms will probably get pulled. There's also the water aspects happening at the same time. So we need to look at so many different things. I cannot imagine what it's like to actually play this right now for either player. But the villager gets pulled away. The men-at-arms will protect. And for now, we're waiting maybe for a demo on that side. But I think Selim has the edge when it comes to water. He's got 2 docks producing fires. He already has more fires. And he hasn't taken any real losses yet. In fact, he hasn't lost a single unit yet.
Yeah, that extra 200 wood really helping out Selim when
Yep.
Feudal Age came in. Really allowed him to take control of the water, try and, win it outright, and also the same time get the walls up and just keep his economy rolling as the fire ships come in here. That villager is tanking some of the damage. He's like, quick, get behind my bare chest. I'll take the fire damage for you.
Oh, I mean, if
But
that demo
Selim has
lands,
this.
you kill all those ships. But how are you supposed to micro there when you have to micro here? It seems like there's a distraction here for Selim. He just was paying attention to water. He lost an archer there. He will win water. That's no problem. He's actually going to build a tower on the archery range here. What an interesting decision.
You build a tower and then you batter it down with the villagers. I mean, you don't want this archery range in this area, right? You don't want these production buildings over here. it's going to be really, really messy if you leave them around. And the militia, or sorry, men-at-arms still being here, make things really difficult. And there's 2 more joining the party from the other side.
6 of them. 6 men-at-arms, archers,
This is
and
a
skirms.
disaster.
I mean, King Stephen has an untouched economy at home. The skirms are going to kill the archers. Villagers are going down left and right. King Stephen, with masterclass strategy here, is performing very well, and I think will deny the tower. And she's gonna... Is she gonna survive? She actually survives! The villager that started it all. She lives.
No. Skirm is going after her. Skirm is after her. Skirm is after her. One more shot.
Oh. Well, you got to remember there's 5 fishing ships for Selim the Grim. Selim the Grim did take losses here, but the tower could still possibly complete. This is incredibly messy. More villagers are still going down. Tower is going to be up, though. You could actually just take out the tower. Yeah, like the men at arms could actually just kill it. Wow. I mean, you know what I can't help thinking about here? Nice job from King Stephen to chase down this Vil. That villager could die too. But we haven't looked at King Stephen's eco at all. Now, I think if we were to do that in a moment, we're going to see that
the question is,
he hasn't looked.
Has he looked?
Has
he looked at his eco?
Look at the wood! Look at the wood! No! Oh no! So that is the cost of all this aggression. Also, I think Selim the Grim just attacked the boar by accident. The boar is chasing a skirm. The boar just killed a skirm. The boar definitely just killed the skirm. We got villagers dying here. The tower's going to go down.
What a messy game. Oh my god. This looked like Capotch v MBL all over again, dude. This is kind of crazy. The villagers are just taking fights everywhere.
King Stephen is going to kill so much, dude. And Selim doesn't know that King Stephen's woodline situation is what it is. Selim will just think, I have 6 fishing ships and I've lost 15 vills. I still could be dead here.
But I think the thing is, if Selim keeps on playing in this game, which he likely will, he's got 5 vills queued. He can go for a market. He's got 850 gold. If we're thinking about people that can go up to Castle Age, which is what you need to do after a crazy opening like this.
Yep.
Selim's going to be there first. And Castle Age opens up a world of opportunities for you to recover.
This is the beauty of this map. Now, we've seen some cleaner games, but this strategy with the Goths, I think we're going to see it more. This is the second time we've seen it now, and it makes so much sense because you could lose the water.
Villager.
You can lose the water, but if you focus on the land aspect, you might end up still having a really good shot. There's not many maps where if you lose fish, you still are in a position to do what King Stephen's in a position to do right now. And I know he's behind in score. He might be behind in some aspects of the game, but look at the worker difference. 45 villagers against 27 is insane.
Selim's like, I've had enough. You've made probably 15 men-at-arms from this barracks. No longer. We are shutting this operation down. We're boarding it up. And you're not doing anything from that. But those skirms came out and they killed another vill.
Killed the villager. They found the weak vill.
Make a freaking market,
17 eco
man.
kills.
Selim, you need a market. You just need a market.
I don't think he actually has the wood income for it. Like, a lot of his lumberjacks just started working again. Oh, man. Now, there were no eco upgrades for King Stephen behind this. King Stephen, as far as I know, didn't have many farms. King Stephen took all the berries and took the boar. Now King Stephen wants to go kill the
forward
fish.
There from Selim? Is that the archers and the skirms coming forward on the wood line? Kind of feels like it, right?
Yeah, and there wouldn't be...
defend its tower and an archer range.
Yeah, and a couple skirms. This is good recognition from King Stephen to realize that this is the situation, and the skirms are going to be there. I don't even think you need upgrades, and you'll be okay.
The problem here for Stephen is going to be getting back on track, right? You've done so much damage. You feel like you're ahead, but you lose the ability to produce out of that barracks. You're losing basically the ability to produce out of that archer range, and you have to replace everything behind after you've already lost your fish too. And now you're probably going to be a lot later to the Castle Age too. So whilst you're ahead of Selim in terms of economy, you're kind of behind him in terms of like the steps you need to take into the next portion of the game, if that makes sense.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, King Steven with the market suddenly making me think his chances are a whole lot better, right? Because he's going to click up as well. And if their uptimes are very close, I think this could make a whole lot of sense. And oh man, we've got supplies coming in for Selim. Now, I was thinking that if this went late, we would see infantry from both. And as 2 archers got picked off there from the fires there from King Steven, that's epic. Yeah, it's going to be like longsword maybe from Selim the Grim.
This is not the position I think that Selim wanted to be in. Down 3-2, and suddenly you're making longsword at 25 minutes into the evacuation game against Goss. This is not it.
Dude, I actually think that knights, just 1 or 2 knights running all around here is one of the strongest things in early Castle Age on this map. And the fact that Dravidians can't do that obviously makes it very awkward. But I think that King Steven should try it. There's always going to be an area for a knight to get through. And that's not just here, but that's also where the town center is at the start. So we'll see. Fires. Oh, what a great find for King Steven. This is the advantage for Selim to catch up as the fishing eco. What a great find.
There's a stable
Lovely
from
stuff.
Steven too. He's going into a scout, so might go into a few knights early on. And we're just seeing all sorts of areas where the knights can run in, and there's going to be no defense, right? Second stable now from Steve. That's really good.
Good old Steve.
Well, I
Steve
mean,
and Dave go back. Steve and Dave go back to
we're
their high school
friends.
days.
We're friends, so I can call him Steve.
Did he always, oh, sorry, I should ask first. Did he always wear the mask back in high school? Was he kind of a shy guy?
Well, no one knew who he was until he put on the mask.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, there's the double stables. Selim will see that. Could possibly go into pikemen. We actually see the upgrade now. Man, these guys are on point. We have the scout from Steven. Finding the villager there. That should be a villager kill. And Steven has killed way more economy than Selim ever has in this game. And knights could continue to do that.
6
Seems
fires in the queue is crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Now it's only 4, but like getting that war galley tech right away is solid for clearing up the fishing eco. But I mean, the fishing eco really isn't there for Steven, right? So you're just basically keeping your own alive. You're gonna have to figure out something to make on land too, to
I think
have damage control against the knights.
And what have we always said about Goths over all these years? It's like, if you could stay alive, if it can be even, when you have 3 town centers pumping vills, it could be really good for you. And honestly, I think right now, I think that King Stevens has a lead that the score in-game does not suggest. We become very used to looking at that. But res collected is higher, second TC's up. There's knights and scouts around, and Selim the Grim is just still really struggling after all the damage that was taken earlier.
That's super solid damage control there, though. Not only on the water, he's clearing up the fire galleys, but he's also got pikemen chasing all of the knights. Still, 61 vills against 38.
Crazy, dude. I don't know if 8 Dravidian
Really
fishing
bad.
ships are enough to make up for that. Yeah. And I also love how King Steven, he made the perfect amount of knights. He's not over-investing into upgrades. And he's just like, give me those TCs. I'm not going to take any risks over here. It's kind of a weird town center, but just give me TCs to produce vills out of. Perfect play there. Still needs to evacuate eventually, but
yeah. Yeah, we need to see Steven leaving the base. That's for sure.
Steven leaving.
There's not much up there anymore.
And Grim, and he's got a lot on water, so he's trying to swim. No. Infantry armor coming in now for Selim. But he doesn't have the longsword tech we thought. Like, maybe longsword and pikemen could start taking out TCs or something epic, but he doesn't have any way to do any type of counter damage here, which I think is the main concern. It's just defense when he's already behind.
It's going to be like that stone count. Once you get a castle to protect your primary eco, the longswords don't really have much value anymore, right? And then it's just kind of trying to buy yourself time to build up your own eco, which Selim is just now starting to do with that second town center.
And there's the knights. I agree with you. Selim is very reactive to anything that King Stephen sends in at this point. Like, clearly the approach here from King Stephen to have success earlier was more is better, because every time King Stephen's coming in with knights, there's always something. Even this, like, having the navy here is underrated on evacuation to catch any villagers or army that's running that way. So that's not bad. Still has his main eco to be worried about, though. And from what I'm seeing, I think the fishing ships for Selim are going down off screen in the north. The knights were defended, but the fishing ships did go down in the north there to that fire galley. So only 2 fishing ships now for Selim. He will transition in towards a horse collar and some farms, but it is 42 villagers against 80 right now.
This game's going to go an hour and 10 minutes.
What?
Sometimes
So
you just got to make a hard call.
Okay, an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, well, I have a feeling this game is going to go until it's Selim the Grim though.
Listen,
that's tricky.
No one
52 minutes.
No one remembers the calls you didn't make, Tristan.
Yes, they do. There's memes about it. Everyone remembers the calls I don't make. Are you kidding me?
No one remembers the calls I don't make, Tristan.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, makes sense. Very accurate. Pikemen killing farmers here. And that is the revenge that Selim the Grim needs here. Castle from King Stephen is a very, shall we say, King Stephen castle. Very forward castle. No army to protect it whatsoever, but King Stephen sees that as a position of importance. Monks dying, random ships around. 91 villagers against 51, so 40ville lead still for King Stephen. And he's going to start to make Huskarls. And this is making even me regret the call that I made, because Huskarls in the eco is going to be a problem for Selim the Grim.
He will have enough stone for a castle. I think the evacuation needs to begin, though. Like, you need to send everything over to the mainland and then just start locking it down. He's noticed now the stone there, and he was about to place a castle. He's like, Huskarls, nope, I'm out. See you later. He's like, it was very clearly going to put a castle. And now he switched it up. So the castle is going forward instead. The pikemen are coming this way.
This is sick. Wow, I mean, and this is what he needs to do, right? It's hard when the score shows what it does to know how far behind you are. This is precisely what he needs. He needs to abandon the starting region, and he needs to get a castle drop on King Stephen. And King Stephen sees this, and King Stephen's going to YOLO his own castle, right? Is he going to buy this stone? What's he doing? He's leaving?
He doesn't have enough to buy it.
He doesn't have enough. Wow.
Stephen is leaving.
What a moment. Stephen is leaving. I like that. Stephen... Well, we'll get to continue that if Stephen wins this game, I suppose.
Stephen's still breathing.
Stephen. I'm gonna leave that up to you at this point. I don't think I can compete. The Huskarls are such a big pain right now, and Stephen, he's just going to need to find a way to stop the Yurumis. The Yurumi swordsmen are going to be very strong against Huskarls, very strong against Goths in general. One of the rare instances where making a lot of them in Castle Age would maybe make sense here.
A castle is problematic for Stephen. Like, I mean, he's going to go for a castle.
Are you telling me you're not believing in Stephen?
I'm just saying, an hour and 10 minutes, but the Huskarls will take out those fires. That dock is likely for demos to stop more Huskarls coming across. A wall to the dock could also be good. He's going to force a castle defensively there, and then Stephen will have to rush him and go for Trebs to push that back, but it's buying Selim a bunch more time to boom up behind this. I think, like, going Imp for Trebs here, it feels natural in a lot of situations. I would have really liked to have seen the classic, like, triple barracks, just full infantry spam of Huskarls everywhere, all over the map from King Stephen here. I don't hate what he's doing right now. He's still getting some damage in, and he's still going to have this big lead, but yeah, he doesn't want to be broken with this position, Dave. And he'll lose a TC. His castle will go up, though. And then we might... Do
do you try and go infantry into the Yurumis? Or do you go for hand cannons? Because Gots actually get hand cannons.
I honestly don't know, because at the same time, you need to expand your eco. You need to catch up.
Yeah.
You need to get to at least 100 vills, right? And it's all you can do to not lose villagers against these random Huskarl raids right now. So probably Arumi is the only thing that you can do right now while also expanding your eco, which is unfortunate because it's really not that great without all of their upgrades in. And his opponent can just switch into something that isn't infantry.
Whoever this player is, this King Stephen guy, he didn't just pick Goths for the start. He picked Goths because he understands the Goths. He's committed towards the infantry. He's not trying to go into anything different here. And I always have felt like that's the case. Even if you're like a bad matchup for the Goths, I think you could still spam infantry with it being so cheap and then producing so quickly and get away with it. And he's going to have Anarchy on the way now. He's going to have a Treb on the way soon. And Selim the Grim, I know he's got a lot of fight, and I know his eco is catching up, but like, he needs a moment or two to breathe to have any chance.
He's buying another castle at home. He's getting another castle at home to defend this area, and that's going to be just on time to counter the barracks. 47 on food is kind of wild. Like, this is an insane recovery right now from Selim the Grim.
And we'll see if Selim the Grim can get the win, take us to a game 7. Dravidians, again, maybe one of the better matchups if they can make their infantry against the Goth infantry. It is King Stephen continuing with infantry, not deviating from it. The castle will go up. This castle will definitely be trebbed down, and he'll know that, but he will make it to the Imperial Age. Unless, what CC did he use?
He used that one right there.
Okay, that's fine.
On the screen. Yeah, that's fine. And the Arumis are doing a good job up against the Huskarls, but still only 94 villagers against 139. Goss with 140 villas. Disgusting. 60 on food now, too. It's really bad for Selim.
This is what King Stephen likes. He likes to be able to raid. We saw him kill 200 villagers in the Hidden Forts game, and this is the perfect strategy. Now, I think he's got enough map control to be happy with even losing the Huskarls here. If you were to go for like 10 raids and only kill villagers on 2 of them, 20% of the time's good enough when you've got a lead like this. You've got the economy to continue to toss away units. Wouldn't mind seeing Champion mixed in with the Huskarls, though. You already have the barracks. You can get the perfusion upgrade.
Supplies. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I meant for Selim. Sorry, I thought you were talking about champions for Selim.
Well, you're right for both, actually. Right? Like, I think the only thing about Huskarls is you're not really utilizing you're not really utilizing the Pierce armor at all right now. So getting elite Huskarl is probably purely from the rating perspective. Well, the champion could always come. And
also, the Arumi are doing quite well against the Huskarls so far. And if there's a big massive Arumi, like, they're getting the splash damage. They have the charge attacks, right? They're just a natural counter to the Huskarl, even in the elite form. So you have to be careful not to fully tech into something that your opponent is already making a counter for. However, he does have 71 on food, so he's just going to keep producing Huskarls.
Yeah, like, a lot of pros would just go for chemistry and make hand cannons. This King Stephen character says, no, I'm just going to make more Huskarls, and I'm going to spam them all the time. And who cares if your unit's better? Who cares if it's elite?
Arumi.
You're just not going to have eco to make these things because I'm going to have Huskarls everywhere. Selim the Grim is at 90 pop. 90 pop. He was actually doing okay, but everything is falling apart now. There's like 20 more Huskarls in queue, and it looks like King Stephen is going to move on to the quarterfinals. A bad Civ matchup for him, but an amazing strategy here. As poor Selim, he didn't resign a lot throughout the series. Didn't resign early anyways. He doesn't want to call it, but I think at some point here soon, he's going to have to realize he just can't afford to make any more army.
Yeah, I mean, the Arumis are still coming out, and they are dealing with the Huskarls, but there's always another group of 20 or 30 Huskarls. Let's see how these elite Arumi perform against that army there. With the little splash damage, Pretty
They're
good, but you
splashing.
just don't have the numbers. They're whipping
Numbers
it
are
out.
everything. Numbers are everything. Castles are everything too. Selim's about to lose his castle. And the number of Huskarls hasn't gone down. It's still 40 plus Huskarls for King Stephen. There's just a constant stream of units into Selim the Grimm's base. And the GG is called. King Stephen wins. And man, what a series, dude. We just had so much this game. We had a lot of unique unit play in this series. We had diverse strategy in this series. We had two like similar enough styles, but also different enough at the same time. It was a treat to watch.
Yeah, that was really, really fun and great long series. What was your time you were saying for this game? 50? You said 50?
I think I said 52.
Close.
I think I said 52. So
Okay,
it wasn't
pretty
too bad.
close, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't help but have faith in that boom and the Goths from King Stephen. It felt like an early imp. He was going to find the window. And he took advantage of that, collecting so many more resources there. What a series. We definitely should sum this one up. We should go back and go through what happened. It started off with this, which feels forever ago now because it was such a long series. But King Stephen knew his opponent was going to drop the castle and ended up reacting pretty brilliantly to it, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, just the timing. Double layer stone walls, and then he comes back with the houses, the towers everywhere. It was a few things going wrong maybe with the university there, but it was enough to keep him out of the base, and then the push forward was insane. This was just good luck, honestly, if you're not moving the scouts. Sometimes you get punished, and sometimes you just find the opportunities by accident, right?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, like Slim the Grimm's whole game plan of pushing through the middle was neutralized with the Stonewall. And we've seen many pros, many great talented players not do the simple things. And that's what King Stephen did here. And eventually he then pushed through the middle with the Rats and Archers, with the Trebs. And, you know, the Conquistadors weren't enough on the other side to Lycab get through. And our series started with that Stephen victory. But we just did still have that feeling that the caliber of the players was pretty close and that Slim was going to be able to turn it around.
And then we had this Mudflow game, which had the highest probably investment into Navy I've ever seen on this map. It was crazy. We had fires, we had demos, we had war galleys as well, but I think Selim just did a better job of locking it down and then getting the damage in on land as well. Like he was constantly picking away at the villagers, and Stephen couldn't compare.
Yeah, eventually Demo gets into the wood line here. This is just, that demo is actually just reward from Selim the Grimm's aggression on land. Did feel like Selim was possibly going to throw the game here, landed a couple demo shots, and then placed this castle. Like, this to me was kind of the moment of the game where I realized that we had a unique type of player. Because when there's the potential for your castle to be denied by a demo, very few people are going to walk to the middle and drop that one. And then very few people, when they're losing, are going to go forward and try and win the game this way with no army support. And you can see on the highlights there what people thought about that player. But yeah, castle got denied, Selim tied it up, and then we moved on to this game, which I don't know, it's hard to pick which game was the best of the series, but this was certainly an incredible one where we saw the Rhino approach from King Stephen, and then Selim the Grimm chose to go for the Monk's Pikes and just skipped the Rhinos at the start of the game.
Yeah, this is a really, really solid game, and the replays are going to go on for a while, presumably with this one. The latest raids were huge. This was a big moment where he snuck in and had the monks hiding behind, got three latest conversions, and was able to take out that castle. And we felt like that was the tipping point, right? Because Selim's eco was ahead. The timing, though, for Stephen was faster to Imperial Age, and he managed to take advantage of that, and he was constantly running around with these freaking latest, killing villagers, killing halbs, killing everything.
He was 30 population behind at the highlight prior to this, and now you look at this, he actually still was behind, and that's the story of the game. The latest killed everything. Did feel like, you know, after that game, it was close enough. You'd expect Selim to be able to tie it up, so this was an important one for him, and he started off with a villager pick. We had some questions on how, like, many turtle ships we'd see, how would the Navy play out. While we did see some turtle ships, I actually think the key for King Stephen ended up being the tower position that he took some time building up, but eventually just is built up to a point where Selim the Grim wasn't able to ever stop it in the late game.
Yeah, and then of course, like, Selim is constantly trying to hold on to that middle position, and Steven just draws a line. You can see it red on either side of this corridor. All the production buildings on either side. And Steven is just hard focused on taking out these castles, pushing forward with towers, and also stopping the expansion from Selim on the other side with towers too. So really difficult position he was put in.
Yeah, this game was maybe the most confusing for me for who Selim the Grim might be. But then in the mid game and the late game, he got to this against the maybe one-sided Georgians. He is maxed out on Imp Camel, maxed out on hand cannons. And we had some pretty epic engagements here. Some engagements that made it pretty clear that Manaspa are still insane, but they eventually got whittled down. And I mean, this was the strat of the series for King Stephen. The Sneakville, the Sneak Barracks, the range and everything. It just made it too chaotic for Selim the Grim, who had a better civilization, at least economically, to be able to play the type of game he wanted to play here.
Yeah, and Selim, you could tell his attention was just divided in this early game, right? He was trying to focus on water, and then he was trying to fight with Vills, and he never had that opportunity to, like, get the archer range up and mass up a few archers to just deal with the men-at-arms. They just kept coming, and the skirms kept coming, and before you realize it, when you're taking fights like that, you're losing 3 or 4 Vills. So it's really, really difficult to recover. But great fight from Selim, and I look forward to more from Steve going forward.
Good old Steve. Moving on. My boy Selim goes down. I feel like everyone I've talked to is rooting for a hero. All the co-casters, all their heroes have gone down so far. That was a look at the trophy for Hidden Cup 5. Maybe Steven will get that at the end of the week. We'll see. But crazy series. Yes, thank you very much. Oh, wow.
He's cutting him.
Man,
that is a beautiful onion hat. Do not ruin the onion hat. That is a traditional onion hat.
I don't know who made that meme, but well played. Thank you, production, for making fun of me. 4-2 for King Stephen over Selim the Grim, but let's find out who people think these players are. Before we do the poll, I would like to remind people who everyone thought the prior days players were. We had 8 players. This is what the bracket looked like. According to the viewers, we had Hera versus Ganji, Jordan versus Mihai, Barles versus MBL, and then Vinchester against Hato. But we're going to move on to the poll. And viewers, if you're watching on Twitch, you can type a number associated with the player in a bit. And feel free to vote for anyone that's up there. That does not mean they are correct. But yeah, vote away soon. I also, for those watching on the YouTube side, I don't think I have any intel or info on this for you right now, but we should or are working on hopefully being able to pick up your votes as well. For the time being, it's only working on Twitch though. So we'll get that started over here. You could always hop over here, use the emotes, or just stay on YouTube if you'd like. But we've got King Stephen and no image for King Stephen. Been told they do not know why it's broken, but Steven is leaving. Yep. Dave, as the community votes, thoughts on this?
Doubt.
Okay.
I saw many things
clear?
there that I mean from the draft, and maybe that influenced me. But from the draft, remember, before the set even started, I said it was probably doubt. Just because of the civs and the maps he picked. And then as it progressed, we didn't see really any quick wall attempts. We didn't see any of the cute things that a lot of players do. Wasn't trying any of that stuff. He was just playing his game, forcing his opponent to come at him. So really, really solid play. And I think doubt is King Stephen as Stephen appears brilliant.
Someone told him he can't leave just yet. Vote away community. I mean, it would be pretty crazy if it wasn't down, in my opinion. I agree with everything you said. I felt it's very typical for a player like Doubt to also win on the brand new maps, right? He won on like the Hidden Cup exclusive maps and then the 2 new maps that got brought in. The hope is for a player like him to use that practice period and benefit from it. So that's my guess as well. I think that is our Doubt sighting, and the community, I think with a new record here, 85% Thank you, production. Thank you, production. That was very sly. 85% of voters believe that is the Lord Doubt. Amazing stuff. But I think the one that's going to be a bit trickier is the next player because, funnily enough, Yo and ACCM are voted in here for King Steven. I'm feeling like heavy vibes that could be Yo or ACCM. And if it were to be Yo, for example, who typically goes a lot deeper into tournaments, I'm not sure that I could stomach that Yo would lose 4-2 first round. But then again, it's Hidden Cup. The matchups happen. Doubt's beaten Yo before. So thoughts on that? Like, I'm still holding out hope that Yo's still out there and he's not knocked out right now.
Well, there were some very Yo characteristic behaviors, but there were also, it just looked a little too sloppy to be him, right? With some of the transitions and whatnot, and not being able to save some of those villagers on the Hidden Forts game. However, Yo is one of those players that gets better the further he goes in a tournament. And like you said, with Hidden Cup, he's not used to maybe facing Doubt in the round of 16 or someone of that caliber. Right. So maybe hasn't had the chance to get warmed up. And I am on the same page as you. Initially, I thought it was Yo. I'm probably 50-50 on it now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think a player who's close to Yo in terms of how he strategizes and sees the game and fights and everything, who maybe doesn't get as deep into tournaments, would be ACCM. I'm personally leaning towards ACCM for that reason. But there's a lot of players. We had 9 players who qualified. There's a lot of players out there that no one's guessing. And it's got to be some of these guys at some point. Like, could that have been a slightly rusty Jordan? Maybe. Could that have been a Barles, a Ganji, maybe a Mihai, a Sebastian, a Sato? I don't think it was any of the other names.
Do we see Yo on slopes not using his scout and keeping it patrolled near his town center?
Actually, yes. Like Yo full walling and going into excess amounts of scouts, I could definitely see.
Yeah, but like I've never seen him keep a scout at home like that. Yeah. I've seen that happen, but never just keep it. I don't know, man. This is so difficult. It's so tough.
Some people are voting. Some people are voting for Doubt to be Selim the Grim. Solid strategy, execution struggled.
Yeah.
Right. At times we've described Doubt as that in the past. So I actually think that's the funny thing about this is that I think Doubt is possibly top 3 conversation for Selim the Grim as well.
It's just a meme now. It's just come on, you're better than this. You're not, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Well, we got 10 seconds till the results are officially in, but it looks like ACCM is number 1 right now.
Not for long.
Yeah, it's changing slowly because you told them not to. You can't tell people not to do something on the internet, and it's saved. We had ACCM 33%, Doubt 29%, and then Sato 11%, which is an interesting one. I didn't see a lot of Sato tendencies personally.
Yeah.
But I think that people are aware of the fact that it might not always be the obvious one, which I appreciate with that. So, Doubt against ACCM, Doubt 4-2 against ACCM, maybe what we saw here. But, dude, thanks for the cast. You're going to be in the casting booth a lot over the next 5 or 6 days. I'm looking forward to speculating more, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Chat, keep it real. Enjoy the next set. And I'll see you again on Thursday, right? Thursday?
I don't have it memorized, but one of the days. I think both, maybe.
Okay, cool. Cool. I don't matter that much, I guess. Okay, I'll see you later.
No,
Bye.
It's on the schedule, bro.
No, I'm leaving. Listen, I'm King Steven, all right? I'm leaving. Okay?
All right.
So, see ya. Peace.
See you later, Steven.
Can you cut this screen now?
Salutes in chat, please, for Dave, a.k.a. Steven. Here I thought Dave was Jean Bureau coming into Hidden Cup 5, and apparently he is now King Steven.